Fire for your mind. The Kosher Clinician.
Allowed when it comes to standards in dating. Why are these behaviors allowed when it comes to standards in dating, marriage, and relationship? Why is it that modern women can tell their story, but the stories of black men, or men in general, is always under the lens of trauma and being a predators toward to women? But we wonder why men suffer in silence, and the same message continues that men are dangerous.
Come on.
A lot of women have issues
I'm living
with
it right the fuck now.
As I said,
Listen to
I
what
said
I'm saying.
60s
Let
and
me say-
70s.
Let me say this.
Don't
bro.
overtalk
I'm
me.
gonna talk you because
Good,
you're talking out
but
of
you're
line,
not
nigga.
going to disrespect
You don't know
me.
what the fuck you
Oh,
talking
I
about.
am.
Can masculine traditional men have a conversation with woke sassy men? Here's why black and white men suppress their true feeling. Because of this, and ongoing condemnation, instead of understanding.
Eventually comes a point where you have to decide, how do I want to live my life? I haven't talked to my daddy in 6 years. I don't give a fuck about what my family has gone through. I know where I will go. So it's like, you can only say that for so long. Black women are tired. Have that upon yourself. Stop waiting for a woman to tell you what you need to do. Take that upon yourself.
Let me address that real quickly. For me, I didn't know fucking how to
Can
love.
I say one more
Hold
thing?
on.
No, I have to say
Go
this,
ahead.
because another thing that happens is, too, you live your life for so long, and I'm not meaning no disrespect by
It's
this.
all right. Just say it, bro.
But when you hit your 60s and your 70s, I want to be right.
Okay, but let me.
I want to live my life right. I want someone to take care of me and protect me, and that's what a lot of women have issues
I'm living
with.
it right the fuck now.
As I said,
Listen to
I
what I'm
said
saying.
60s
Let
and
me say-
70s.
Let me say this.
Don't
bro.
overtalk
I'm
me.
gonna fucking overtalk you because
Good,
you're talking out
but
of
you're
line,
not
nigga.
gonna disrespect
You don't know
me.
what the fuck you
Oh,
talking
I
about.
am.
I just
I
learned
do.
how to love at 60,
I do.
bro. You don't know what the fuck you talking about.
Oh, I do.
Because you can't
I
fix
do.
no shit.
I
if you don't
do.
know it, nigga.
I do.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. The fuck out of here. I'm living. You can't tell me what the fuck I'm living, nigga. I'm living it right now. You cannot fix no shit that you don't even know is happening.
I think there's a misunderstanding.
No, but you going, but he's generalized. You can't. No, listen, bro. Let me stop. This is what it is. Let's get to the truth of this shit. You can't fix no shit unless you meet somebody who is on another level to help you elevate to understand. I'm not indicting anybody. I'm telling you what the shit is. You can't fix some shit that you don't know about, bro. You can't. And then you get there at 69 or 70 and say, I thought I was being loving all this time. That's what our parents have gone through, and that's why we're all so fucked up right now.
Gets lowered when they have multiple children by multiple men?
I just think that the reality of that answer is women's value get lower the more children that they have.
At some point, you're going to want a man to take you serious.
Yeah.
And how many kids are you going to want him to take you serious
Right.
with? I got 3. It's hard out here with 3 kids trying to find a man that
I ain't got
that
no kids
want to
and I
with you. You get what I'm saying? You got no kids, you can't find a man really want to with you. Not me having 3 kids. A man trying to find a man to with me. You get what I'm saying?
So if men can still be high value
Yeah.
with multiple baby mamas and multiple girls, why is it that the women have to put in extra work to be high value if they have multiple children by multiple men?
There's multiple reasons. Number one, your womb has already been occupied by another man's seed. That's the biggest part, right? Then on top of that, your whole body just changed physically. Your whole physiology just changed. Your whole mindset around everything just changed because you had a baby by somebody else's seed.
Ma'am, you're 32 with 3 kids by 3 different men. And you say you deserve a man making 6 figures. You don't need a high value man. You need a high value mirror.
So my friend, like, she has 2 kids. Both are like teenagers now, and like the thing that I don't like is like when she dates guys and then they fall out or something, they'll be like, out of here. I be feeding you and your kids. Like, they be trying to throw it back in their face. And it's like, that's why I can only imagine how hard it is being a single mom.
It's not even like, it is throw it back in your face, but it's, like I said, expectations and it's the reality of the situation.
Break that down.
Because, and I was having this conversation, you know, with one of the mother of my children, and she's still fine. You know what I'm saying? But like I was telling her, I was like, yo, the guy that you're dating or will date, if he ain't willing to love on these 5 children that you have, that ain't the guy for you.
So you can look at what you
a year. Black women earn $327 a year. So women period absolutely stayed in situations that may not have been the best situations for survival. Absolutely. They were not making the money in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s to carry a household on their own, especially if you had 5, 6, 8, 10 kids. Where were you going and you made $300 a year? Okay, those women had to stay for survival. But as time went on, what I can say for myself is my parents raised me to never be in a position, never put yourself in a position where you have to, there's a
men.
That
they
wasn't
want
the
men
point,
to
though.
be able to protect
like I said,
a fucking week to make some money. But the women made money. Women make
Well,
a
here-
choice to stay with
what
men.
I'm trying to- what I'm trying
to carry a household on their own. They did
Okay,
not.
one mic, guys, one mic.
In the 30s,
If I wasn't back there, I was. Y'all just talking shit from memory. Want to go back to slavery and all that other bullshit.
so you're
man.
saying a woman is
Cognitive dissonance is a condition that happens for a myriad of reasons. Many times in modern America, men and women often do one of the following. They deny the evidence. They become enraged when you present them with the evidence. They argue to ad hominem attacks, meaning they attack the messenger instead of the message. And they will fight you or flee because they cannot hear what you are saying. In conditions such as this, tied into cognitive dissonance, often happens to those that have or lack self-awareness. They stay in a perpetual cycle of arrested development, exhibited by this. Greetings. This is another topic of the Kosher Clinician that might be sensitive to some viewers. If you are sensitive to the topic at hand or the title provided in the show, please proceed with caution. You have been warned. Viewer discretion is advised. Fire for your mind. Kosher Clinician.
Aside to become the kosher clinician, the story and the war cry behind the kosher clinician was similar to some of the struggles and the things I've been through as a man. And some of you men are still going through that right now. There's a philosophical term called an existentialist crisis. Basically what that means is that you begin to ask yourself the question, why am I existing? What is the purpose of my existence? And I think that's the story of a lot of men that have not been more or less raised or under the tutelage of masculine men. One of the greatest indictments, guys, about the manosphere is that people assert and assume that the manosphere pushes misogyny and hate. But the manosphere is not responsible and was created a silo as the front to women or black women. But the manosphere was responsible for pain and suffering that many black men were going through and continue to go through as we speak now. Once again, Jericho, we are going through an existential crisis. Our country is in trouble. Some of you are in trouble, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And you're not ready to move to higher ground until you get the requisite help that's going to help you become the better version of yourself.
Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician. All right.
There it is.
All right.
Now hit it for me.
And it ain't culture. 7 in hell is what they taught you. We'll put them, and you can back up in young dose. Kosher. Clinician.
All right, stop that. All I want you to say is if it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. Say that first, okay?
All right.
All right, you ready?
Start over?
Yeah, start it.
No. Okay, if it ain't 7, it ain't culture, and...
If it ain't 7, it ain't culture.
Okay.
Heaven and hell is what they taught you.
Okay, perfect. Do that again, but give me a little attitude. If it ain't 7, it ain't culture.
All right.
Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
And action.
Young heads pick it back up and young dolphin. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician. That was cool.
If it ain't 7, it ain't culture. Heaven and hell, that's what they taught you. Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. Young heads pick it back up and young dolphins. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician, masculinity issues. Absent fathers who miss you. Mama drama don't kiss you. All a part of the ritual. This is how they get you. Separate the men, women clipping babies pretend to. Damn. Lovers, haters acting like vultures. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. Listen.
We got DL Saint in the house. We're gonna have a very
What's good?
show on tonight. And DL Saint is a brother that I saw on Black Man Unfiltered. Shout out to him. And DL Saint is a Gen Xer like me, and he still has hope, and he still believes that we can turn this thing around. But I'm gonna have to do an assessment on brother DL Saint, and let him know that Jesse Jackson is gone, and we can't keep talking about keep hope alive. But we're gonna get deep into it, man, because there's a crisis, DL Saint, in the broader confines of modern America. That crisis is that everything that men say and do is always under the lens of suspicion. It's always under the lens of trauma. It's always under the lens that black men or men, white men in general, are adversaries to women. And there's never a balance when we look at the nuances associated with the struggles that men and women, especially black men and women, have had in this broader world. And so anytime black men tell their story, we got to tell it at the approval of black women, because if we don't, then you get called names, old, shrivel up, which I laugh at it, because a lot of these chicks calling people old and shrivel up. They ran through, they got to put on filters. They had several deletions. They don't have husbands. Their womb is a graveyard, but they got a damn nerve to talk about a man being shriveled up. So here's the good thing about men our age. If you eat right, lift weights, and don't be stressed out by the typical modern woman, you're good. And we know there are some decent sisters left. You and I talked in the back before we started this show. But what do you think about this trauma narrative, DL Saint, always associated with modern women? And then we're going to talk about some double standards, because there are things that women can say and do and get away with it. But when men try to tell their story, it's always under the lens of scrutiny. So I'll let you take the whip.
I appreciate it, brother. First of all, man, thanks for having me on, man. I love how you get down, man. I saw your intro, man. Shout out to you. That's definitely a down the mark on that. Got my man spitting and everything. You don't got that old. You know how we get down, man. We love that old school, man. Off the dome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And to all my guys watching me right now, man, I'm over on Brother Kosher's page, so he controls it. So we're not doing what we normally do. I can't highlight the chats and stuff on my end.
I got you.
Okay.
I will highlight. Actually, we got a cash out super chat for you. So shout out to my man, the Pookie and Ray Ray show. Shout out to him. That's one of my brothers. Shout out to that good brother. And we'll read this cash out super chat. Brother DL Saint. It's a DL Saint. What up, everyone? If you're in the Northeast, get ready for another snowstorm.
Yeah, I'm down here in Tampa, but we done warmed up. We dealt with our little 10-year winter. It got down to freezing down here, which hardly ever happens. But shout out to brother Ian, man. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Cody's King over there. Everybody on my side, man. I appreciate y'all, man. But to get into this though, definitely, bro, the victimhood mentality is there. But even before we get into the victimhood thing, like there's definitely a rift in modern dating. There's definitely a rift. Now, and for us who follow this, like for us in these trenches, the manosphere and the red pill world and all that kind of stuff, or the mano swamp as Rich Cooper calls it, right? But for us, we see what's going on in real time. Right. Now, when you go outside, because if you listen to us all the time, if you're in that bubble, you would think, man, all is lost. My guy, you go outside, the men and women are over here. They ain't talking to each other. Nah, you still got the simpletons out there doing their thing. And this is the era of the simpleton right now. Like if you're a Pookie or Ray Ray, like some dude who's just trying to go out here and smash as many women as he can. If you are or a high value man, as Kevin Samuels defined it, or underneath them, I call it the top tier guys. They don't necessarily have all 6 or 7 traits at the same time, but they might have a few, and women flock to them as well. I mean, you're killing it right now because there's so many women who just believe in, her sexual prowess, and that's what they go to. All women just smash. And even when you talk to women and tell them like, hey, the highest value woman of all is that woman who doesn't have, a high body count, that woman who's not masculine, that woman, what I mean, that woman who is fit and friendly and feminine. She's killing the game. But even that woman, she got some bodies, but she's smart enough to know to leave them in her closet, and she won't admit to them. So like it's definitely things are changing, and like you said, I'm hopeful. I think at some point, the game will self-correct because women aren't getting the results that they want, and dudes are just walking away. That's a lot of guys are just not quite going their own way like MGTOW, but a lot of guys are just kind of calling their own number, tapping their helmet and sitting on the bench for a minute and just watching everything settle. So, but this is going to be a good conversation because you're definitely on the other spectrum.
I'm on a totally different spectrum. Man. And the reason why I am saying Saint is because I see it all the time. I look at things through the lens of not only pragmatism, but I look at things through the lens of being analytical. One of the things as a licensed therapist that we talk about something called system theory. And, I hear all these, what I call it, these people that are hyper positive, and I'm not against being positive. But I'm a realist first. Part of being a man is looking at things through the lens of realism. And, I like what the prophet said. The prophet said you can't take new wine and put new wine into old wineskins. Before you can put new wine into a new wine into a system, you got to change the old wineskin. The problem is in America, we don't want to change the old wineskin, because see, you can't have a relationship when there's not equal accountability across the board. You can't have a relationship where everything is always seen through the lens of victimization. Everything is always seen as men being the bad guys, and always given a broad analysis and a negative analysis of men in general. As a licensed therapist, we call that a cognitive distortion, but also we call it an ego defense mechanism. The modern woman always will protect her ego at all costs, even if it's at the detriment of her own children and also the detriment of other women that want to do the right thing, and especially at the detriment of men. And sadly,
and brother Culture, where's that come from? Because I see it. I see what you're saying. I see it out there in the trenches. Where does that come from? How does a person, we're talking about females, how does the person get there? Like, where'd that programming come from?
Well, I'm going to get into it. That's an excellent question. I'm glad you asked that. That's a dope question. I love your engagement. I like what Scam Lightly said. Scam Lightly said that red pillars simp the hardest. So I want to add some clarity to what Scam Lightly said because he got some truth to what he's saying. First of all, every man in red pill just means to see things for what it is. People many times falsely associate or they have a lower understanding of what red pill means. Anything in life can be red pill. When Elijah was standing, as he was having issues with, I believe Jezebel, the Most High told him to look, and when Elijah looked, he thought he was by himself, but when Elijah opened his eyes, he saw a chariot of angels and angels on a wheel encamped around him. Red pill means to see things just for what it is. And many times, Saint men, when they go through what's called an existentialist crisis or existentialist threat, many men come to these spaces looking for answers. You know, there was a group therapist by the name of Dr. Irvin Yalom. And, you know, many times people say, oh, the red pill means, men hate women and the manosphere was created because they hate women. No, dummy. Men don't hate women. We're looking for good quality women that are going to respect us and honor us. But the typical woman now has a concept called taxation without representation. And so all of this DLC has been systematically designed. It's social engineering, and it's been designed to usurp the authority of the man, and it's tied to what's called cultic feminism, but also occultic feminism, because a lot of it's tied to witchcraft. But I'm going to land the plane in a minute. We can't have a more perfect union until we give men what they want. You know, the OJs wrote a song back in the day. He said, got to give the people what they want. And I'm thinking about writing a book called Black Love Without Consent, because we cannot have a perfect union until we ask black men, what do you want in a relationship? But many times, because we live in a very gynocratic society, black men and black men and white men in general, it ain't just a black man thing, we are often expected to be downtrodden in this double standard where women can have standards. But when a man say, okay, she can say, I want a man that's 6 feet tall, makes 6 figures, you know, nice phallus size, and, you know, and all of that. Fine, I don't have a problem with a woman having his standards. But when a man say, I don't want a woman that's been ran through, I don't want a woman that got kids by other men, I don't want a woman that had deletions, then all of a sudden you hate black women and your mom is black. So where did it come from? Well, it's simple. It came from social engineering, and it came from liberal indoctrination. It came from social engineering and liberal indoctrination, and it was tied to a concept called the Duluth model. The Duluth model posits this, that, you know, all men are more or less, you know, women should seek power, they should seek control, because men by nature are dangerous, men by nature are violent, and men by nature want to hurt them. And it's always seen through what's called a pathological lens, because many times it's based in what's called irrational fear. Now listen, it's normal that some women are afraid of men. You know, I'm 6'5", 6'6". I'm dark skinned, I got a deep voice. But does it mean that I'm a dangerous man? Not at all. But they always give this stubborn standard when it comes down to trauma and violence, because a lot of times, even in violence, it's something called one-way aggression, where the woman actually starts domestic violence and the man finishes it. But see, she doesn't get the same level of scrutiny that the man get. So it's fed to what's called the feminist theory lens, and also under what's called the Duluth model. It talks about intersectionality, intersectional politics, using, you know, it's always under those umbrellas. So our women got caught up in white women's struggles. They never were accosted to the level of white women, because black men never had power. So they always talk about being a double minority and all of that. Well, let's look at it from a more analytical lens. If that's the case, that they're a double minority because they're a woman, and also because of their skin color, then we can also argue that black men equally were discriminated against because of their skin color, and black men also were called boys, because black men never had the same power as white men in general. Black men were held under the same level of scrutiny because black men and black women were in the fields of trauma together, struggling. But because women by nature have what's called a solipsistic nature, they don't do things what's best for the overall community. They only do things what's best for them. So liberal indoctrination plus the fallen nature of men and women has more or less cascaded into what we have now: entitlement, delusion, and expecting men to give them the best when they give men nothing. That's why when men say level up, I said, but then what are we leveling up for? Are we leveling up for virgins? Are we leveling up for women that got low body counts? Are we leveling up for women that don't have kids? Are we leveling up for women that don't have a bunch of deletions? Are we leveling up for women that are in good shape? Are we leveling up for women that have emotional regulation? Are we leveling up for women that understand order? Are we leveling up for women that can respect their men and also get some back in return, which is love and protection? When you answer that question, Brother DL Saint, what you always get, you don't get no comprehensive answer. But you get a bunch of crickets. You get a bunch of crickets because fundamentally they don't think black men deserve anything. They don't believe black men should have anything. They see black men as accessories. They see black men as subjugates. They don't see black men as being free-thinking, competent people, what I call sovereign men. They see black men as being under their feet, and you better not say anything against black women. And I'm here to say today, I don't roll with folk just because their skin color is black, because once again, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And before we came to America, we all weren't from the same tribe. Some of these Negroes are not from my tribe. I just don't associate with them because a lot of them are very ignorant. They have a concept called racialized idolatry, where they worship skin color over principles and ethics. The master teacher said, who is my brother? And then he retorted by saying that he that does the will of the Father, that's who my brother is. So I don't get caught up in this, your skin color is black. It's about my skin color being black. If your consciousness is not predicated in truth and righteousness, you're not my brother. Because these same people that talk about, black excellence and FBA and all this, look how they denigrated Brother Clifton Powell. Look at how Six to God has denigrated Brother Clifton Powell because he was telling his story. And anytime black men tell their story, it got to always be under the approval and the auspices of the modern black woman.
So
ahead,
for my platform, because first of all, what you said was fire, man. That's like Don DeMarco all the way, man. That's how we kicking it off. All right, that's what I'm talking about. But I know your pedigree. We've gotten a chance to talk and briefly kind of understand where we're coming from. Can you tell, for those who don't know, because they're listening to this and like, man, is this brother a preacher? Is this guy? Well, who is this guy? You know what I mean? So you tell them where this is coming from, because you dropping some knowledge right now, brother.
Well, it's coming from many angles. I've studied theology from years, but I am a licensed clinical therapist. For those that don't believe me, every now and then I had to flex on them, Brother D.L. Saint, because they say, oh, he's lying and he can't be a real therapist. But I am a real therapist. I'm matriculated at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. That's where I got my master's from. I got my undergraduate from North Carolina Central, the verdant greens and the sloping hills. I got my undergraduate, my associate degree in law enforcement. So my background is very extensive, and I understand things from different parameters and different angles. But the most important thing that I have a theological knowledge that's tied into what's called apologetics, having a defense for the faith. I can see through the lens of not only academia, but I can also see through the lens of the esoteric. And because I can see from multiple dimensions, I understand what's actually going on effectively, because I've been studying this stuff for years. I got books on apologetics and research and all those different elements. And I can see this thing more comprehensively when most people can only see it through the lens of limited ability or their own anecdotal experiences. And so I am an advocate for human rights. I am an advocate for men and women. But I don't believe that the rights of men should be subjugated for the sake of appeasing women. I don't believe in bound down to a woman. I believe in loving a woman and protecting a woman and even dying for a woman if I have to. But a woman's happiness does not supersede my masculinity. Because I see it all the time, Brother D.O. saying, even in couples therapy, where men got to always denigrate or minimize themselves to appease women. And so we got so many simps in society that when they see a masculine OG like myself, they're not used to it. And they get mad or they call names, but they can never defend the argument. See, anytime a person start calling you out on your name, they've already lost the argument because you haven't defended your point. Calling people names, okay, yeah, you can call folks names. Like I always tell folks, you can call me out of my name as long as you don't put your hands on me, because you put your hands on me, we're gonna get active. And they say, well, you 54, it don't matter if I'm 54. I might be a little out of shape, but I'm still aggressive. I'm still very aggressive, even at 54. Because at the end of the day, you're not gonna disrespect me. You ain't gotta agree with me, but we can have a coaching conversation. If you don't have a coaching conversation, you can keep moving left and keep moving right. But they never have a coaching conversation, Brother D.O. Saint. And
I'll tell you this, brother, in case the judge and the people are watching out there, the prosecutor, I'm not physical anymore, Judge. I'm prosecutor. I'm not anymore.
So you're not physical anymore. Well, listen, Brother D.O., just because they think I'm a liar, can I flex them? I'm gonna flex them for a minute, Brother D.O., because in case they don't believe I'm a liar, I'm the kosher king. So hold tight.
Yeah. Shut up, kosher. Yeah. Shut up. Whoa. Shut up, kosher. Ballin'. Take it back. Like it's game time. Game time. Locked in when it's game time. Yeah, I'm ballin'. Like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. I put in work, couldn't wait for my bag coming. 3 whole years and these records keep running. Don't talk to me if you can't match the numbers. Ballin', like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. Yeah, I'm ballin', like it's game time. Locked in when it's game time. I put in work, couldn't wait for mine.
Yeah, that's king-ish. So for for my critics, oh, he can't be a real therapist. I am a real therapist. I'm a 5-star recruit. I don't tap dance for folks. I say what I want to say, and I do what I want to do. I'm not part of no group. I respect black brothers and black women that respect me, but I'm not going to limit myself based on skin color and what I call racialized idolatry. I'm not going to limit myself to that. You're going to prove your worth to be in my tribe. Just because your skin color is black, I'm not going to rock with you. But go ahead, brother.
So I agree with you. When I had these conversations out here in these trenches, and I'm just talking to normal folks, and normal folks just being, what people would call blue pill or mainstream or whatever you want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
It's to your point about the ad hominem attack or anything like that, or the name calling, right? They don't have an answer. And I always come back to, okay, but can you answer the question? Why is it that, 80 to 85% of judges award the child to the mom?
Right.
Why is that when mom and dad both work? Why is that when dad has multiple kids and he's going in there and they won't let him get the child when mom doesn't have any kids?
Mm-hmm.
And they forget you, call your names or whatever. All right, cool. Like you said, call you little
Mm-hmm.
whatever, you know what I'm saying? Little D and all that. All right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I know this is a victimhood mentality, and it's not just men, it's women, not just women, but it's men as well. When I talk to these dudes, and a lot of guys that fall into the red pill space, they'll start to learn a little bit. They'll see the true side of female nature. They'll adjust, get a little game, because most of these dudes don't even have game. So they get a little bit of game. They start to get results, and the first thing they do is revert back to the man they were.
Yes, sir.
Prior to coming to the red pill.
Very true. Very true. They revert right back because they don't have what's called a masculine constitution. One of the things that I see with a lot of men in therapy, man, is that they don't have a masculine constitution. The books that write the vision and make it plain. You got to make the vision plain. And part of being the man is doing things not based on feelings and emotions, but doing things based on principle. Men do things based on principle. And so when you do things based on principle, you have a blueprint for what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate. If you go back into old school theology, the Levites always had access to what's called the Holy of Holies. I call that the inner sanctum of masculinity. But the prerequisite for the Levites is that they had to be holy, as they had to atone for the sins of the Israelites. They couldn't go to atone if they were riding dirty and they were unclean. So they had a system of strict laws where they had to adhere to, because if they didn't adhere to those strict laws, they would be destroyed based on what's called the Ark of the Covenant. Most men, because they haven't had strong masculine fathers, they don't do things based on masculine principles, but they do things based on a concept called introjection. You might say, well, what is introjection? Well, introjection is an ego defense mechanism where the boy, he tends to identify with the talking points of the women in his life. He tends to, first he identifies with women, then he internalizes what women are thinking, and then he get mad at any time a man that's masculine go against the indoctrination that he has, and that turns to projection, and many times it turns to a concept called displaced aggression, because they can't handle it, because the only thing they know is to internalize based on what mama told them. And so you got a generation that are men that have simp behavior. They don't have a masculine constitution. They don't believe in their masculine sovereignty and their dignity as a man, and they always deify women at the expense of their mental health and also at the expense of their masculinity. And that's why there's a new awakening where men are beginning to open up, disengage, and say, you know what, I will either wait this one out, or I'll go to a place where women can honor me, respect me, in the dirty word that many women don't like, obey. Because back in the day, D.L. say, the preamble to being married was called, you had to obey your husband. Wives, obey your husbands. But see, obedience in their mind is seen as trauma, because it's a trauma narrative. Because grandmama, they always say the same old stupid mess. Grandmama was cheated on, the man up the street, had a family, had a bunch of kids. It's always a trauma narrative. It's never a narrative where it's balanced, because a lot of men like Clifton Powell and a lot of men of that generation, they were going through trauma. But we don't give men the same kind of grace that we give grandmama and other things. The grandma wasn't perfect either. I got a family member, I would even say my granddad, I believe. And the theory is, or the rumor is, that My granddad was knocking down a woman down the street. But guess what? That same woman was married.
Mm-hmm.
But where's the same animals for the woman as it is for the man? Because granddad can't cheat by himself. So those women that granddaddy was cheating with, either they knew he had a family or they didn't care or they didn't know. And many times they knew he had a family.
No, that's the fact.
Am I talking right? But we don't hold them to the same standard that we hold the men because all men are seen under the lens of danger. All men are seen under the lens of victimization. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, because, I mean, this narrative, this victimization narrative, we didn't have that growing up. You know, as a Gen X guy, you weren't allowed to be a victim. If you came in a house, you tell me what happened, bro. If you came running the house talking about some boys was out there bullying you, what would your mom and daddy tell you to go do? Right? I was told to go back out there and deal with it. My mother told me to go back outside and deal with it. In today's world, you know, these parents, these women and men will run out there and they're trying to fight their battles for their children. I'm like, you can't do that because now everyone makes you go get therapy. And shout out to you, brother. Like your field right now, and I do believe there's a place for it. I'm a retired air traffic controller. I've dealt with some things that I never thought I would have to deal with. You know, loss of life in the air traffic realm is rare, but it does happen. I didn't know how to deal with that. So I think in those situations, yeah, I think you want to go talk to somebody and kind of get yourself on track. But now everyone's a victim. Whenever I go in there, oh, so you're telling me, like, tell me about your childhood. And I would tell them about hella games we used to play. We used to play a game called Having for Supper. And I'll just tell you, what you need for this game is a bunch of wild kids and a belt. And you got to go hide the belt. And then the kid finds the belt. You can beat all the other kids until you get the base. And they're like, oh my God, you're a victim. Like, what do you mean? I was just playing. That's how we played. Right. Like, you guys are so violent. I'm like, well, I come from a hyper violent world. So to me, it was just every day. I didn't realize that people were, not seeing this. I didn't realize that people didn't hear gunshots in the street or see people get beaten or whatever. So I don't consider myself a victim. But in today's world, they want to classify me as such. And I have a problem with that. But again, I'm not going to fight the system because if you're watching Judge, I'm not trying to fight y'all. But I'm struggling to understand. And then when I look at what's going on in the dating world, it just, these guys are just like, well, it's her fault because, I'm not tall enough or, I don't have enough money or whatever, or she's just a terrible person. It's like, nah, bro, you're a weirdo. Like, you are a weirdo in today's world. If you learn how to move in today's world, some of these women going to come holler at you. You just make some money, get out of the basement. Or if you're living in the basement, stack your money and be making moves out here, make it make sense. But a woman wants the best she can get. And it's like, all right, cool. But to your point, she wants the best she can get, but she's not the best.
Right.
And that's your point. I see. And I just tell guys, I'm like, look, my thing is just learn the game, learn the rules to this game, and you can move accordingly. If you want to go ahead and marry her, do that. She got a bunch of kids or whatever, or don't. She's not a virgin or whatever. But just understand what you're signing up for. So many guys don't understand that. And I think that's kind of where we diverge, because you're kind of saying, why even do it? Like, what are you getting at?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Look, listen, I'm more of a purist. And listen, let me challenge you in a good way, D.O. saying, because I know where you're coming from. I don't think those men are weird, because men 70 years ago weren't weird for saying they want an average woman, because women got by average men. Why should men have game for less than good women? Why should men have game for subpar women? Now, it's one thing to say have game for women that are wholesome, been raised right, and you know how to serenade her and court her and show her love. I ain't got a problem with that. Right. But you want me to have game for ran through women got kids by multiple men, women that have been indoctrinated to be feminists, women that have a visceral hate towards anything that's objective and masculine, women that want to subjugate men, and the same damn women that talk about they are a slave because a man asked them to cook a meal. That same man is a slave when he got to use all his money and go to the ATM. That same man is a slave when it comes down to happy wife, happy life. Because the same women that tell you, he's controlling me. Well, ma'am, you're controlling him. You know how many men I talk to in sexist marriages don't even get no cat? If a woman abandons her husband when it comes down to her duty as a wife, in my mind, that woman is cheating on that husband. So,
just to withhold sex in a marriage, You consider that cheating? Okay, that's.
Well, I'm
I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong. She shouldn't be withholding sex for compliance. I think that's wrong.
Listen. Let's look at cheating from multiple dimensions. Don't get truncated in this one ideology. Watch this, DL Saint. Listen, the scriptures say you forsake, or the preachers used to say back in the day, forsaking all others. Cheating means to gain an advantage over a person through psychological manipulation or physical manipulation. Watch this. Let's say if you and I played basketball, I was taking steroids, and I could physically dominate you in the paint. Is that not cheating?
Yeah, because you took the steroids.
I took the steroids. All right. So if a woman trick a man into a relationship and she said that you're going to have mutual exclusivity because part of the social contract was that women had to be virgins, wife ready, no kids, and her body only be for her husband. Now, if you and I decide to go into a business deal, Saint, and we go in that business with the understanding that, we got, some type of power and autonomy, and, you're not going to play me around and screw me over. The contract said that you and I get the same rights in this business endeavor, because marriage is a business. And then once we start the business, then you start folding or falling back and not living up to the promises. Did you not cheat me?
That's a good point. Because if you and I went to a business and the agreement was I was going to provide the sweat equity and you were going to provide the financing.
Exactly. Right.
And we get into the business, I'm providing the sweat equity, I'm building everything, but you ain't coming with the money.
Right. That's cheating.
I can take you to court and I can get compensated by the courts.
Right. Right. And so it goes even higher than that, Brother D.O. Saint. Now, if you look at through the lens of theology say that your body is not your own. But see, you got women now because they fed under the feminist theory model. They say that it's my body and I don't have to give you my body if I don't want to. Well, hell, why did you get married? You should have stayed single and played with yourself. That's what you should have did. Yeah. Because now you mean to tell me this man that has put his finances on the line, his economic resources, and now this man got to be pigeonholed to your goofy emotions because you don't understand your assignment. And now he can lose everything he got, half of what he got, all because you said that you don't feel like it because you don't have emotional regulation. So guess what I tell men? When she tell you she don't feel like it, tell her you don't feel like providing. When she said that what I'm gonna get from Valentine's Day, you tell her that Cupid don't live here no more. Not no more, but Cupid don't live here no more. Tell her that Cupid said the arrows are broken, the arrows are on layaway, and Cupid said that maybe next year. So my point is that in a relationship, a healthy relationship is not a parasitic relationship. A healthy relationship is a symbiotic relationship where she benefits and you benefit. But in modern America, the double standard is her money and his money is her money. And that would never happen to me because I wish a woman would damn tell me that her money is her money. And I don't subjugate myself to no woman. I don't even subjugate myself to a man. And I wish a woman would tell me what her money is my money.
James Sexton. Yeah. James Sexton, are you familiar with his work?
Never heard of it.
James Sexton is a legal attorney.
James Sexton. I heard James Sexton. Right.
He's in family law. Like he's a divorce attorney. Very successful. I think he's out of New York. And he got prominence through YouTube and he's starting to make the rounds. He talks about marriage. His thing is everyone should have a prenup. That's his thing. His mission in life is to get every American who's thinking about getting married to you have to have a prenup, because he tells people who fight him on it's like, look, either you're going to decide what happens when your marriage ends or the judge is going to decide. And,
right. I totally agree.
And we accept that 50% of marriages end in divorce, although people say, well, the numbers are closer to 43%. Mm-hmm. And then I come right back with, because less people are getting married. And still, 43% is a lot. You know what I mean? 43% chance you're going to walk outside, somebody going to bust you in the head with a sledgehammer. You probably ain't going outside, right? At 43%, so it's like, why not prepare for that? So James Sexton said that in a marriage, and he was saying this to the flagrant people. He was saying this to Akash Singh and Andrew Schultz, which is funny because Akash is having problems now with his wife. But he said, listen, everything a man provides in that contract, in a wedding or marriage situation, can be forced on him by the court. In other words, if they separate, he still has the provision, right? He still has to provide. He even still has to protect. And one of the guys questioned, well, how can you be forced to protect? They're like, pay for security. Like if you got enough money, you have to pay $30,000 a month for a security detail to keep your family safe, if that's what the court dictates.
Right.
But when you look at the female side, the court can't force a woman to, live up to her wifely duties. You can't force her to come clean your house. They can't force her to, sleep with you. They can't force her to be nourishing to your kids and all that. So it's like, it's a huge imbalance when you look at it that way. And I agree with him. So what's your take on modern marriage today? Because I hear what you're saying about relationships, but are you saying then that, guys should stay away from marriage, or should they just prepare for, the eventuality that it might fail? What's your take on that?
Well, I'll get into that. Let me read this super chat real quick. Shout out to my man Cliff, the Cliff Gadget guy. And guys, do me a favor, support the channel. Support Brother DL Saint and myself, because we're going to have some fire for your mind. But he said, I'm not FBA, but King Kosher, you got a huge support in me. I'm from Kenya, and your talking points inspire me, no doubt. But listen, every man got to go into a relationship being pragmatic. Men get married for love, women get married for business. And so I think every man should go in, if he got something to lose, especially with the mindset that his marriage could end. And the reason I say that, Brother DL Saint, is that a lot of women now, man, when they get married, they're not necessarily getting married because they love the guy, because they got with the guy because he was safe. They got tired of having fun. They got tired of being used by the top dudes. And they settle with a man that's safe, because women by nature are survivalists. And so if you're an average man or a high value man, if you got a lot to lose, you need to get a prenup. I don't believe that things should just be based in love, because love is an emotion that comes and goes. Because when you're standing in the front of the court, the courts don't care about no love. She ain't talking about no love when you stand before the courts.
I mean, Tina Turner said that, right? What love's got to do with it?
What love got to do with it? Right. What love got to do with it? So if you got money and status and you've acquired wealth, and she said, well, but this doesn't feel good. Well, sweetie, it don't feel good when my wallet's being ripped wide open because the Lord is going to give you half of my assets. So I don't care about how you feel. I will argue, for the sake of a relationship, Brother DL Saint, that when you go in with a prenup, what it does, it forces her to perform in that relationship. Because watch this. The gospel never told the woman to love her husband, because women have a hard time loving outside of themselves. But the Bible did tell the woman to obey the man. And what it means is that when you got to give outside of yourself, that's love and duty and service, because you got to give out of yourself. But men by nature don't have a problem loving their woman, because the masculine is always doing. Masculine men don't mind doing for their women and even putting their lives on the line. But what I'm telling men is that men got to raise the standard and start saying that, listen, you just don't qualify. You can call me a misogynist. You can call me little penis. All that goofy mess don't matter. Call me whatever you want to call me. But you don't qualify, because just like they can have standards, men got to start having standards like their grandfathers, their great-grandfathers, and their great-great-grandfathers, because all this name calling and shame is not but a form of manipulation, because most women can't beat the average man physically, so they got to use emotional and psychological manipulation to get you to bow. And they're getting afraid now because they don't want men to have a story. They don't want men to have a voice. Men are not saying we don't love women. I think all men love women. I've been with my wife for 30 years. But if I was a single man again, I wouldn't marry the type of man. Listen, dog, if I was single again, man, the next woman that got with me would have to be a 5-star chick. Her body count would have to be low, which we know they're hard to find. She would. I'm not dealing with no woman with no kids. She would have to be in good shape, and And they said, well, you can't get that because you old and you fat. Well, listen. I can lose about 40 to 50 pounds, but I'm still a silver fox. And being 6'5" and highly educated, I don't have to deal with American women. I can deal with women abroad if I was a single man. Because when you 6'5", I got a crisp mouthpiece like myself, I don't have to sell it for what I can sell it for African women, Asian women, or whatever, because I know what my worth is. So I'm trying to teach men to know what their worth is and not settle for mediocrity, because there's a double standard associated with men anytime men try to have standards.
Any guys that follow me, and first of all, like, hey, I believe you, bro. This brother say he can holler, I get to him. I see you guys. I see you, old guy. Right, you know what I'm saying? Right, and I call you old guy, and I think I'm older than you. But anyway, if you old guy, what does that make me? But here's the thing. I tell guys that you need to be as selective as women are. Like, you have women out here, and more power to them. They know the game. They know what they're doing. You have a woman who is a 3 on a scale of 0 to 10. And she has more options than a guy who's an 8 on the scale of 0 to 10. And I tell these guys, like, look, y'all need to begin to be as selective as these women are. Like, how is it that woman over there who is 5'5", 320 pounds, and she got a list of dudes trying to, you know what I mean, in her orbit, and you over here and you struggling, like, bro, don't, she shouldn't be on your list because you're not even on hers. You need to, I tell guys all the time, like, you need to be out here and you need to start disqualifying women as opposed to trying to find reasons to qualify them. Men just go about it differently.
Right,
and,
right.
So, but yeah, when it comes to marriage, do you think that society and the laws here in America should make it perhaps harder to get married or harder to get divorced? Do you have a say in that, or should marriage just be a function of religion and the state should stay out of it?
That's a great question. I think the law should make it harder to get married. And, I think a lot of time people get separation of church and state confused. At one point in England, there was a state church it was called a theocracy. And a theocracy is when religion is greater than the government. But in America, separation of church and state didn't, from my opinion, from my knowledge, didn't mean that the church couldn't have any saying in the affairs of men, because America is not a theocracy; it's a democratic republic.
Yeah.
So because of that, yes, the government needs to get in place. I think that if women are not performing, just like if men are not performing, she needs to be on a 2-year or 3-year contract. I think you said that, or the other brother said it. I was listening.
I said it.
You said it. And shout out to Brother DL Saint. And if she's not performing to your expectations, you got a right to walk away. Now, marriage, in my mind, is something spiritual, and God hates divorce. So it's sort of tricky, because if you look at it from a Christian worldview, then you should never get divorced just for anything. But however, if a woman is choosing not to fulfill her wifely duties, as a man, you have a right to say, I'm not going to fulfill anything either. When she say, I don't feel like doing whatever, fine. I don't feel like paying these bills. When she say, I don't feel like cooking, fine. I don't feel like, because I'm not a slave, because anytime she's expected to perform for a man, she's a slave. So when somebody break in the house, I'm not a slave, and we are partners, because this is a new word they say now. We are partners. So you go down there and defend this house, partner. When we're driving the car and the tire blows off, I'm going to get on Instagram and flex. Go handle that, partner. But see, the problem is that the modern woman wants taxation without representation. She wants the benefits of being a modern woman, but she wants the power of a modern woman, but she wants the responsibility of a traditional wife. And men keep giving their power away because they have not been trained and raised to stand on business as men. And the fact that many men are beginning to wake up now, and, whether you agree with Trump or not is irrelevant. Podcasters put men on point when it came down to exposing men and men issues. And that's why all these liberal podcasts now are being funneled money, because they have a nefarious agenda. And that's to continue to erode traditional families and traditional men and traditional masculinity, because traditional masculinity is the image of God. Luciferians don't want a traditional family. Luciferians want the woman to be deified while the man is being subjugated. They don't really want no equality. They want men to be under their feet. And I will never do that. I will die before I bow. You just go and get my coffin ready and kill me, because I'm not bowing. Go ahead.
I feel you on that, brother. And, I talk to folks all the time, especially the readers, and they're like, well, these are folks who are like mainstream or blue pill. And I'm like, well, what's the most prolific red pill book you ever read? And I would say it's 3. It's 3 really prolific red pill books I've ever read. One is the King James Bible. The second is the Torah. And the third is the Quran. I'm like, if you want to really get into it, start there. And I'm not even a very religious person, but
I totally agree.
But the words make sense. I was raised religious, So if you take man away from religion, then you got a good thing. It's just man corrupts everything he gets involved with. So let me ask you this about marriage, because you're saying marriage should be harder. You think that maybe we should as a society bring back the dowry? So it's like, in order to get married, like I have a daughter. So if my daughter wants to get married, I should be providing some sort of dowry for her to go into this relationship. What do you think about that?
I won't have a problem with a setup like that. I don't know if it will work, but I don't have a problem with it, because what it would do, it will force women to come into the relationship being virgins, being chaste, and being pure, and being wife ready, and being groomed by her father, so she could be given over to her husband. The problem is now women now are very rebellious. You got daughters that are rebellious. They don't respect their fathers. They don't respect their OGs. The way it was supposed to be, Brother DL, is that the father was supposed to groom the daughter to get her ready to be betrothed by her husband. And that was respect. The father teach her, he vests the man to see if the man's ideas align with his. And then he gets her ready and give her over to the next man after the man has been properly vetted. So I would have a problem with the dowry system because it will go back to tradition. It will force the woman to be, under the auspices of a man. But see, a lot of women will say a dowry is misogynistic, though.
I'm sure they will. I would say it's the family's investment, and it also makes sure that you keep a man in the picture, or at least a significant other, because if you're a single mom, you have this beautiful woman, and you've managed to keep her away from the streets. She's pure. You've raised her right. She's religious. But if you don't have a dowry, you're not going to be able to marry her off to the top tier guy, to the high value man.
That's right.
Because so it's like, I better keep this family together because we're going to need 50,000, 100,000 or whatever it is to give. And the thing with, and I got this idea from This Is Shaw. I don't know if you've ever watched this podcast, bro, but I'm gonna send you his link. This Is Shaw, young brother. He worked in California for the child support agency there. And he gives a lot of great information from the inside looking out when you talks about this. And he's been researching dowries and just kind of going back, looking at old newspapers, going back as far as I want to say like the 1800s or so, maybe a little bit before then, because you can still see that now. Everything's out there. You can see everything. So he's going over these dowries, and there were people out there complaining that the cost to marry into the top tier families was getting too high. They were like, oh man, these men were complaining that they didn't have enough for the dowry, and the girls were really getting upset because like, man, we can't get with, Brad because my dad can't get the money together. You know what I mean? And I think that family investment, if your family has invested $100,000 in your dowry to marry somebody, right? And then you get into that marriage and decide you're going to walk away, you already owe $100,000 to your family.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, if we're talking about, if we want marriage to really work in America, I think that would be something that should be on the table. And it'd been people talk about what you bring to the table. Well, I'm bringing $100,000. My dad gave me $100,000 so I can marry. And what's that money for? That money is to get them started in their life, because you're merging families. Marriage has always been a merger. It hasn't really been anything to do with religion, like you said, or love. It was all about bringing families together and keeping the family growing and prospering, moving forward. So I think
it was about duty too. It was about duty to serve, honor, and continue to build communal ties. Listen, one of the greatest things that happened to Black families was the advent of liberalism. After the advent of liberalism, what Black families had began to dissipate. Women had to rely on their husbands. They had to rely on being together because it took men and women to come together to survive. I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to get into this part about the double standards. What do you remember about love, dating, relationships from the 90s? You and I are OGs. You and I were from the last generation. I think Gen X is the last normal generation. But tell the young people what you remember about love, dating, and relationships back in the 90s. Not saying women from the 90s were perfect, because they weren't. But what do you remember? Because I think technology has made women horrible. But what do you remember about dating back then?
So I get this question a lot, especially when I'm talking to the young dudes out here looking for help. You nailed it right there. The biggest difference was technology. Back then, back in the 90s, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. For guys who follow me, y'all know that, right? And it is what it is. I'm from the hood. You know what I mean? I'm glad I'm where I'm from. In Cincinnati in the 90s, those 80s, 90s, I was restricted to that area. So I could get with the girls at my high school. I could go with the girls in my neighborhood. But it was really difficult for me to get out to the surrounding neighborhoods, really difficult for me to get to another city, right? So you will end up, no matter what you did, you will probably end up, if you went back home, with someone that's, within a 20-mile radius of where you were born. That's just kind of how it works. Maybe a 100-mile radius of where you were born. But today with technology, I mean, you got women, just one woman I know, beautiful Latina, smart, gorgeous. She shows me her DMs on her Instagram, just her Instagram.
Right.
And it shows where these people are on the planet. I was really shocked. I knew that, women have access to guys all over the world. I understand the theory, but to see it, I mean, literally, bro, I couldn't see all of the places because there was so much overlap, so many dudes. And she's like, those are the guys that I keep in there. She's like, there's so many guys I just delete right away. And I'm like, well, what numbers wise, like, what are you thinking? How many guys you think hit you up a week? She's like, at least 100. At least 100 a week. And see that we didn't have that. So the women had to choose from the people in the area. Yeah, women wanted the best. Yeah, hypergamy was a thing. But if you are the hottest chick in Cincinnati, right, you won't have some dude from LA or some dude from Miami or some dude from Boston or some dude from London hitting you up. It didn't happen, right? It wasn't a thing. So eventually you're going to wind up with the best guy you can get, whoever you fell in love with. And another thing back then, the family did play a role in it. Like bringing a woman home, you remember this, bringing a woman home was a big thing. You didn't bring just any old body to the crib. You didn't, everybody didn't get to meet mama and certainly didn't get to meet grandma. Right. And, your dad, cool. You could, your dad know the deal. Like, that's one thing, but mom and grandma, that's completely bringing them over for Christmas dinner, bringing them over for Thanksgiving, going to their church. That was another thing. The church was involved. All that I think is kind of gone now.
It's gone. It's gone, man.
It's gone now.
It's gone, man. And it's not coming back because I believe we're in the latter part of the last days. I know some people don't believe that. That's fine. I've been studying this stuff for years.
You really believe? Well, hold on, just real quick. I don't want to sidetrack our talk, but you really think you think that's where we are?
I believe we're in the latter part of the last days. Paul thought he was living the last day in his generation.
I was gonna say that everyone's living in the last days,
right. But check it out; it's gonna make a lot of sense. But you gotta look at the last days based on a concept called convergence. The prophecies hadn't been fully fulfilled in Paul's time. There was no advent of technology. Go read the book of Daniel. It says, seal the book, for knowledge will go to and fro. The wise will understand, and the wicked won't understand. That didn't happen in Paul's day. But one day to God is like 1,000 years. And so this proliferation of evil has been systematically permeating since the advent of the Messiah going back to heaven, but even more so now. So yes, Paul thought he was in the last days, but I would say we are more in the last days now because we read the book of Timothy. It's gotten worse and worse. Lovers of pleasure. Some of the things that Timothy talked about really wasn't like that in the biblical times. Most kids weren't disobedient to their parents in mass back in those generations because there was a penalty. But this generation now, because of a concept called convergence, is getting worse and worse. Let's go back and look at our generation. They didn't have technology like they have now, but you can't have a one world order unless you have globalism. And this is the first time in human history where there can be globalism and where people can come together because it's based on what's called convergence. So I don't want to get too much in prophecy because it takes a lot to break it down. But
maybe we'll do another show on that, bro, because I am curious to hear your take on that. Maybe we could do another show, but
well, let me show you something. I've been studying stuff for years, man. So you see this book?
Yes, sir. Mark of the Beast, yeah.
You see this book?
Okay, yeah.
I've been doing this stuff for years. I've done books on
these are your book. You wrote these?
No, I didn't write them. I read them.
Okay. I was about to say, wow.
And this book right here called Apostate. So you got to understand the markers to look for. There are markers that you got to look for. If you don't know what to look for, then you won't really understand it. It's a principle called convergence, meaning in Paul's time, there were pieces of the puzzle. Now the puzzle's coming together. People keep talking about things getting better. It hasn't gotten better. It's getting worse. It ain't gotten better not since you and I were teenagers. Go back and look at women of the 90s compared to now. It's gotten precipitously worse. Go ahead. You're about to say something.
And you remember back in the I'm going to tell y'all right now, guys, and I've said this on my platform plenty of times, and I have no problem saying it now. I remember the first time I went to Atlanta.
Right.
First time I went to Atlanta. And when I tell you, because people be like, oh, man, you got a problem with black women. Maybe I do today because I remember what black women were in the mid to late 80s and into the early 90s.
Yes, sir.
I remember
what they were. Right.
I remember going, and you know this, you go to somebody's house down south or any Midwest or whatever, and you sit down, they sit you down as a kid. I'm like 13, 14 years old. I'm sitting at the table with the men, and then the women, along with the young girls, will bring the food over.
Yep.
the women were in the kitchen cooking. The men were outside telling, like, taking care of men's stuff. They don't change, like you said, changing tires or, working on the roof or digging ditches. Cause y'all Southern boys, man, y'all forever digging ditches down there, bro. What's up with y'all and all that digging?
Well, yeah, right. But you're right. That did happen, man. Cause we had to get it how we live back in the South, man.
Right. And I had my family, like when I was younger, really younger, we would go down to Kentucky, Painttown, Kentucky. We had family there. So as I was growing up, technology was changing, but every summer we go down to see our family in Kentucky. And it was outhouses. That you wake up in the middle of the night, you got to go pee. You got to go outside. You know what I mean? And it's like, the wolves are out there, the foxes are out there, chickens are out there, the horses are out there. Right. I mean, it was a different community. And I think that's the biggest issue here. But going back to the women in Atlanta, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. First of all, I had never seen such beauty in my life. It was every shade, dark sisters, light sisters, everything in between. You know what I mean? And just the way that you could just walk up and have a conversation and it was all good and it was all love. And you knew that woman was raised like you were raised. And it wasn't like, oh, we about to just go out to the car and smash. Nah, man, you had to talk to her, make her laugh, get a number. You know what I mean? Figure out a way to meet her. You call a house because there wasn't no cell phones, y'all. You had to call a house. Mama and daddy pick up the phone. Who this is? Who this is? You got to know how to maneuver around that. And you get to the point where, if you want to take her out, I can remember going up to moms and dads and asking if can I talk to so-and-so, right? Can I talk to Mary? Can I talk to Angie? What's your name, boy? Who's your father? Who's your mama? You know what I mean?
Who your people
is. You know what I'm saying? Right. And that, guys, I'm here to tell you that really changed everything. It wasn't perfect by no stretch of the imagination.
It wasn't perfect, right.
But when people got married, they wanted to stay married. They did love each other, and they understood that this is the only way we're going to get ahead. And although there was no official dowry, parents would co-sign and help you get a home. They ain't going to co-sign and help you get no Bentley. They ain't gonna co-sign and help you get some red bottoms, but they'll co-sign to get you a home because they knew that's where the value was. And all that shifted, I would say, probably late 80s into the early 90s. That's when I began to notice this shift. What's your take on that?
I think the proliferation actually started around the time of gangster rap. We had the crack epidemic. There was still some brokenness, but especially in the rural South. Now, I understand the rural South is not the panacea or it paints the big picture, but I do remember. I mean, it was good times, Brother DL. It was, times was simple. It wasn't nothing like, I didn't do a lot of dating because I grew up in the church, but I do remember scenarios when guys would date women. They'd be, riding on I-95 or on 64 East, playing Anita Baker with the window down from the beginning to end, 365 days of the year, playing Sade, playing Commission, playing The Winers, playing Take Six, playing community choir music. You and I had community choirs back in the day. It just was a better time, man. The women, they have a bunch of weave. A woman didn't think it was a robbery to serve a man a meal, because women back then was actually trying to audition to become a wife. But these heifers now say, well, that's husband duties. Well, guess what? That's fine, sweetie. Taking you out to dinner is also, wife duties. Paying your bills is husband duties. Buying you nice clothes is also husband duty. You want men, you want to be a modern woman while expecting men to adhere to traditional standards. And a lot of men say we're not doing that no more. And a lot of them are beginning to feel it. They don't like it, and they continue instead of all the correct, and they keep pushing these liberal narratives that's tied into indoctrination. And the masculine men that understand, they don't care about it. They're going to do what's best for them, and a lot of women don't like it. Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, donate to the channel. This is a very powerful conversation, Brother D.L. Saint and myself. We've been planning this, and so we're going to get deep into it. I'm going to show you guys something. Don't let one guy be the only one to donate. Support Brother D.L. Saint and support myself. Let's get into the double standards, man, because this is going to be real important. But before we do that, let's look at this.
And real quick, before you
hold tight. Standard. Go ahead, DL. Mm-hmm.
The last thing I do want to say to you guys out there, we were talking about the biggest difference I know is between back in the day, 80s and 90s, and today. When you made an effort and you took a woman somewhere nice, or you did something nice for her, man, she really appreciated you for it. And I ain't talking about in the sexual way either. I'm talking about she really, bro, she will fall for you. It really meant something to bring her some flowers or something like that. It meant something. She didn't expect
it meant something.
Anything.
Right. You're right. But see, I didn't ever hear, listen, I created the word called hoflation. Some people say that the word law was out there before me. I don't believe it was. There's a friend of mine. We did a collaboration, A Peaceful Life. Shout out to my friend, Peaceful Life. And he was talking about relationship capitalism. And the premise of that is that men should use the best metrics available to get the best women, because just like women could be hypergamous, hypergamy towards a man is not based on resources, but hypergamy to a man is predicated in getting the best woman available that he can afford to progenate his offspring and also to be on his arm. So men need to practice hypergamy as well, because a lot of women are trying to corner the market. They're giving the womb away. Most of them have aged out. They don't have the same shine they used to have, but they still demanding high prices. Instead of getting with a good man that will love them, he's not good enough. And so I came up with the term hoflation. Hoflation basically means that subpar, sub-average women still want the top tier men, and they look past average men. And what men need to start doing is say, no, I'm not going to pay no tariffs on hoflation. I'm not doing that. I'm tired of being taxed out and not getting nothing in return. And that's why I don't believe that men should necessarily get married to the typical woman now, because they don't bring anything, they don't add any value, and they don't believe in respecting their men. Quiet Storm said that the systematic destruction of the black nuclear family was the beginning of the end. I agree with him 1,000,000%, because the image is the symbol of the eternal Godhead. That's why I say you got to know what markers to look for when you try to disseminate and break down what people mean by the end of time and the end of days. We're definitely in the latter part of the last days. It started once the master went back to heaven, but it's closer now than it's ever been before. And you and I had to talk in the back to break it down to understand it. But I'm going to prove, Brother D.L. Saint, the double standard that happens anytime men tell their story, and anytime men tell their pain, and anytime men try to give an example. Listen to what Six the Godless said. listen to what Six the Dollars.
6 footer.
Six the Dollars said about brother Powell. Watch this, hold tight. So she said we had to talk about Powell's old ASS with his gummy bear blank. Talking about he just learned how to love at 7. This woman supposed to be pro-black, but she's disrespecting the elder. She's minimizing that man's pain. She's not giving him the same grace that she would give another woman. Suppose somebody said, look at her with her old Rand drew behind, got to use fillers and makeup, used to swing on a pole, but talking about she want a high-value man. You see how that works? You see how that works? You can disrespect an OG, but let a man say that to her, and then all of a sudden he's misogynist, he's hate black women. And so they flip-flop when they want to be pro-black, because this woman's supposed to be a pro-black. But this woman has had a history of being a pole dancer, a stripper, a 304. But you're talking about Clifton Powell because his standard was not what you expected. Part of the trauma narrative is that men can never tell their story unless it's approved by black women. And that's why I keep telling men, how can you call women your women when they don't respect you as men? You got to get their approval to tell your story. What kind of man is that? They got to get approval from a woman to tell his story. But I want you guys to listen to it. And guys, once again, donate to the channel. It took a lot of time to put this together. And hit the like button. Hold tight.
Why are these behaviors allowed when it comes to standards in dating, marriage, and relationship? Why is it that modern women can tell their story, but the stories of black men, or men in general, is always under the lens of trauma and being a predators toward to women? But we wonder why men suffer in silence, and the same message continues that men are dangerous.
Do you think that men can adequately tell their story without it being scrutinized? Because I was looking at the show, shout out to Black Man Unfiltered, and you guys had a great concept. I was trying to get the other brother on the show. Maybe
I figured out who you were talking about is JT, bro. That's my homeboy. I apologize, man. I thought you were talking about the other dude, and I don't know the other guy.
You're talking about TJ.
Yeah, I thought you. Yeah, I know JT. I reached out to him as soon as I saw your thumbnail. I reached out to him. So I'm gonna line it up for you next time. I promise you, brother. I owe you one. My bad. I thought you were talking about somebody else. That's
I was talking about him. Yeah. I know JT. JT's my homeboy too. I know JT, but I was talking about this guy. But this zesty guy came at Clifton Powell, and there's a lot of times black men, see, the world don't want masculine black men like myself and you to tell the truth and speak truth to power. They want men that are quiet, men that go along, get along. They want nice guys. But really, women, her biology, she wants a masculine man. And we're going to break this thing down about this double standard. But what do you think about what Six the God said about Clifton Powell real fast? I want you to give me your insight. Go ahead.
It's just another attempt to try to invalidate the wisdom in our elders, which again, that just tears down our group, our society, our community, whatever you want to call it. If you're not going to listen to the wisdom, someone like Clifton Powell, who managed to negotiate Hollywood.
Mhm.
I was in LA. I worked in California. I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm a writer, producer, director, all that shit. I've moved around in Hollywood, man. You want to talk about evil. You want to talk about Solomon and Gomorrah. Like you want to, and for him to maneuver through that, and then you're going to try to invalidate his words. I especially the way she's, like you said, with her pedigree, I think it's sad, but that's where we are right now. And as a man, you have to pick and choose the venue in which you're going to drop this knowledge, and you're going to have to keep your emotions in check. If you let someone, if your emotions get away from you, this is going to make it that much easier for people to point at you and like, see, he's out of control. And they're just looking for a reason to knock you down.
Oh yeah. And like I was to some of the guys in the chat, yes, we've been in the last days for the last 2,000 years, but that's not the point that we've been in the last days for the last 2,000 years. We're in the latter part of the last days. It started over 2,000 years ago, but it's been accelerating ever since. So let's say we were in a vortex, getting close to a vortex. We're in the belly of the beast right now, because things are not going to change in our lifetime. It's just not going to. And listen, I'm not against keeping hope alive, Brother DL. I'm not against it. But I have to look at things through the lens of pragmatism. I don't see no sign or indicator that things are getting better. And for this woman to disrespect Brother Clifton Powell and call herself an OG and use the nomenclature of a white supremacist, that's why I don't even take some of these FBA serious. You can't be FBA using white supremacist rhetoric, calling people the N-word and a coon. That's why I don't, because that doesn't come out of the black lexicon of excellence. It comes from a trauma response, and many times come from a place of ignorance. And women like her get venerated for being the thought. Six the dollars. She gets venerated.
This is why these young women are using their sexuality as opposed to using femininity, because they see it. This is what they see. And shout out to everybody on my platform. I'm over here with Brother Kosher, so that's why I'm not showing everything you guys are noticing. I'm not hitting the sound effects as much, because I'm over here with the collab. Just so y'all know, man, I see y'all, appreciate y'all. Brother, even one of my brothers, Brother Ian in the chat. Everyone's talking about the end. We're gonna have to do a show, bro. I'm gonna hit you up. I'm gonna try to get you on my platform. We could to school me on the end of days, but we'll save that for later.
Yes, sir. Right. So once again, men trauma and men stories is always tied, or more or less, at the approval of a woman. If it's not at the approval of the woman, then it's minimized, and that's why I have a problem with it. But listen to this.
And relationship. Why is it that modern women can tell their story, but the stories of black men, or men in general, is always under the lens of trauma and being a predators toward to women? But we wonder why men suffer in silence, and the same message continues that men are dangerous.
Come on,
A lot of women have issues
I'm living
with
it right the fuck now.
As I said,
listen to
I
what
said
I'm saying.
60s and 70s.
Let me say this.
Don't
bro.
overtalk
I'm
me.
gonna talk you because
good,
you're talking out
but
of
you're
line,
not
nigga.
gonna disrespect
You don't know
me.
what the fuck you
Oh,
talking
I
about.
am.
Can masculine traditional men have a conversation with woke sassy men? Here's why black and white men suppress their true feeling. Because of this, and ongoing condemnation, instead of understanding.
Eventually comes a point where you have to decide, how do I want to live my life? I haven't talked to my daddy in 6 years. I don't give a fuck about what my family has gone through. I know where I will go. So it's like, you can only say that for so long. Black women are tired. Have that upon yourself.
Now, you notice he said black women are tired. he never said that black men are tired of paternity fraud. He never said that black men are tired of being married to 304s. He never said that black men are tired of false allegations. He never said that black men are tired of losing their kids in court. He never said that black men are tired of losing their jobs because they spoke out. Because it's all about, it's never been about equality, because if it was about equality, they would be fighting for bad behavior of women, but it's about superiority. They want to be superior to the men, and that superiority is tied to Luciferianism, because Luciferianism says that God is down and Lucifer is up. That's why if you look at a Luciferian, he always turns the cross down, and they try to more or less destroy the image of God, which is the family. And so it's always the man's fault, because most of these rainbow warriors, I call them libertarians, that go to school, they don't go to school to have objective conversations. It's always about this damn this mantle of patriarchy. Now think about this. Identify a time where black men had the power, Brother D.L. Saint, to oppress and to control women. You tell me a time when black men conspired with white oligarchs, white powerful men, and created policies to oppress black women. Tell me a time. I'll wait.
Yeah, you have to wait a long time.
There is no evidence.
Yeah, because that didn't happen. But we can make an argument for the other side. We can make an argument for, when Lyndon Johnson wanted to do the whole welfare thing. It was a good idea, but then it got turned into something that would remove the man from the home, which is funny too, because you would look at the same policy in rural areas would encourage the man to come home, but in the urban areas it would encourage the man to get out. And say what you want about it, but hey, do the research. Ask ChatGPT if you want to, because AI ain't gonna lie to you on purpose. You know what I mean? You get in there and do some research and you can see this, but yeah, that's never been the case. That just hasn't been the case, man. And I hear this all the time. And a lot of these dudes are just performing because this is the way they were raised. You got this guy, and I know. I'm sorry. This is the point I wanted to make.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about Luciferianism, and all that. First time I ever heard that term. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm gonna look it up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I look at Hollywood. I look at some of the movies that were coming out, all the zombie stuff and all that. But then there was a TV show. I think it was called Lucifer.
Mm-hmm.
It was not the one about not the one with Idris Elba about the detective. There's another.
I know what you're talking about. It was a show, a TV
There's
show.
a show, a hit show in Hollywood where Lucifer Morningstar, like the devil, was the good guy in this show,
guy.
and he was going around solving.
You hit it right on the head. You hit it right on the head. Right.
He was a good guy, and I remember watching it. Like, this show was, it's like, oh, it's a cute show. As a writer, I'm just like, oh, this is a crazy premise. And then you had like the angels and demons, and you had God's wife. Yeah, they had God's wife who God had banished to hell. This storyline that they're doing, but the overall message of this show was the devil was good.
Well, that goes back to John Milton's Paradise Lost. Read that book. I knew it when I saw it. In John Milton's Paradise Lost, Lucifer was the bad guy. Lucifer was the good guy, and God was bad. So it's no different than God being the patriarch. Anytime men try to have structure and order, man is like God, because man is the image of God. Man is bad, and Lucifer is like the rebellious woman or the rebellious child. So Lucifer said the same thing that the average woman or the modern woman say in these rebellious women, that anytime daddy try to set structure, daddy is the bad guy. So therefore, daddy is trying to stop me from my freedom. And so what it does is that, similar when it goes back to the book of Adam and Eve, Luciferians understood that the gnosis, which comes out of Gnosticism, that God was trying to stop them from having power. Power is tied to knowledge, and power is also tied to freedom. And so that's where it comes from. It comes from a lot of esoteric principles from Gnosticism, from the Theophilosophical Society, Rosicrucianism. It comes from communism. All this stuff is tied in together, and it's part of a conflagration to eventually usher in a one world order. That's what it's all about. But anyway, I don't want to get into too much into that because it's too deep. It won't make any sense to the average person. I'm still learning.
It's crazy. But the point I wanted to make is, if you want to indoctrinate people, if you want to change the collective thought process of a group of people, media is the best way to do it, especially mainstream media, these TV shows. Because little kids are watching it, and the parents don't know what the kids are watching. It's like, oh, the devil is good, and no one's going to church anymore. So when you said that, I'm like, ooh, you want to talk about, they like to call them psyops. I'm like, well, this is definitely a thing.
Yes, sir. All right, hold tight. Let's get back to it. Hold tight.
Stop waiting for a woman to tell you what you need to do. Take that upon yourself.
Let me address that real quickly. For me, I didn't know fucking how to love.
Can I say one more thing? No. I have to say this, because another thing that happens is, too, you live your life for so long, and I'm not meaning no disrespect by this.
It's all right. Just say it, bro.
But when you hit your 60s and your 70s, I want to be right.
Okay, but let me.
I want to live my life right. I want someone to take care of me and protect me.
Now, how's that any different than a woman saying she want to be right when she in her 40s and her 50s after she been ran through? How's that any different, brother Dio?
I mean, it's not. It's the same message, and you know, like this guy. Obviously, like you said, this guy's a little sassy or whatever. Like, what does it mean? What does it mean to be right? Like, I never saw this video. I have to watch the whole thing. I'm gonna go back and watch it. What was the whole point of these guys coming together? What were they talking about?
Well, it was a man round table that was held by a bunch of liberals, where they basically want men to be held accountable, and many times these conversations nothing but a bunch of mental masturbation, where men are bad and they defecate on men instead of having a fair, balanced conversation where men are held accountable and women both are held accountable. It's always pointed back to men because a lot of times these men in these situations are broken men themselves. And I think what this man was doing, he was projecting his pain because Clifton Powell probably reminded him of his father. Yep. And so they keep talking about Clifton, you know, I guess $60 said that, you know, call Clifton Powell, you know, old and all whatnot and wormy penis and all not. But they didn't see how this man disrespected the elder and raised his voice. Clifton Powell was trying to understand the man. But who are we to tell another man what his story is? Anytime black men tell their story, or white men or any man, it always got to be under the approval of a woman. And that's why, and they don't even see it, man. And anytime, that's why a lot of times men don't talk because they're afraid that it's going to be shut down.
They will get shut down.
Go ahead,
they will absolutely get shut down. I mean, that's not even, you don't even have to fear it. You just know it's coming. And to me, that's when I refer to game, I'm talking about knowledge, understanding. And fellas, that's the game. If you got, like you said, you got a group of people who think a certain way and they ask you to come speak, you best believe you're walking into an ambush. And that's why just be ready. Just be ready. And that's where, you know, the brother lost his cool. That's where he lost that argument, when he lost his cool. I just would have sat there and, you know, repeated what the sassy dude was saying. I'd have said it right back to him or asked him, why are you mad at your father? What happened? You know what I mean? Flip it around.
Right. But you gotta understand, Clifton Powell he's an OG. He's fiery, and I think Clifton Powell was trying to use decorum, but the sassy guy elevated his voice. And you know, Clifton Powell's from a different generation, man. And like this guy's person said, why is the rainbow at the table? And I never understood why rainbow warriors are concerned about the affairs of heterosexual men. I never understood that, man.
I'm not concerned about what's going on in their community, which is do what you want to do over there. I don't have a problem with that, but don't come over here. Like, what can you contribute? Like, what are you going to tell me? Right? I know what they're going to say. They're going to say, well, you got all these down low guys. You just don't know how many guys are down. All right, man, I'm not. So you know what I mean? I don't really care about that.
Right. The podcast is literally called Black Men Trust Black Women. And like Quiet Storm said, it was scripted from chaos and doom from the start. But we're supposed to trust women that don't respect black men. We're supposed to trust women that that tell the average guy he's not good enough. We're supposed to trust women that are 92% DNC. We're supposed to trust women that can't manage their wounds. We're supposed to trust women that are complicit in the destruction of their own children. Yeah. But like I said, once again, these conversations can never be salient because we never hear the story from both sides. And that's why Clifton Powell, that's why he crashed out.
A lot of women have issues
I'm living it right the fuck now.
As I said,
listen to
I
what
said
I'm saying.
60s and 70s.
Let me say this.
Don't overtalk me.
I'm gonna fucking overtalk you because
Good,
you're talking out
but
of
you're
line,
not
nigga.
gonna disrespect
You don't know what the fuck you talking
I
about.
am.
I just
I
learned
do.
how to love at 60,
I do.
bro. You don't know what the fuck you talking about.
Oh, I do.
Because you can't
I
fix
do.
no shit.
I
You don't
do.
know it, nigga.
I do.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. The fuck out of here. I'm living. You can't tell me what the fuck I'm living, nigga. I'm living it right now. You cannot fix no shit that you don't even know is happening.
I think there's a misunderstanding.
No, but you going. But he's generalized. You can't. No, listen, bro. Let me stop. This is what it is. Let's get to the truth of this shit. You can't fix no shit unless you meet somebody who is on another level to help you elevate to understand. I'm not indicting anybody. I'm telling you what the shit is. You can't fix some shit that you don't know about, bro. You can't. And then you get there at 69 or 70 and say, I thought I was being loving all this time. That's what our parents.
And Clifton Powell is right. So this is what happens, Brother DL, as we get older. You and I, according to Erickson, we're at a stage of our life called generavity versus stagnation. Generavity means that we've laid aside all our burdens. We understand what our issues are, and we'll systematically or sometimes we don't know what our issues are, but we're still striving systematically to the things that we do know to change, to equip, and to repair all things from our past that has bothered us. So in the clinical world, that's called corrective recapitulation. That's a fancy way of saying I'm going to go back to the past and correct all the things that held me or render me a victim, or more or less render me powerless from the past. It's called corrective recapitulation. And so it's called generality. Generality means that I'm trying to get ready to leave a legacy from the next generation, and to learn from the past and teach the kids what I've learned about my own failures. But the second part of that stage, because you and I are in the fall of our lives, is called stagnation. And stagnation can lead to what's called an existentialist crisis. Many men wake up on the other side of 50, 60, and 70s, and they finally realize that, wow, I just been existing. I never lived. And that's what Clifton Powell is talking about. When you're born into trauma, when you're born into transgenerational trauma, a lot of times you transmit things that you do, but you're not conscious of it, because when you're living in a very chaotic situation, it's something called normalized dysfunction. So if you grew up in the hood, then hood behavior to you was normal. If you grew up in the suburbs, then suburb behavior to you was normal. If you grew up in the country, then country behavior was normal. That's called nature and nurture. So the only thing Clifton Powell was saying is that this was my story. This was my perspective. But what King Sassy did, and like so many women do, they try to invalidate what the man is saying and minimize what the man is saying unless it approves based on the socialization that they have had in the schools under what's called the feminist theory lens, or the Duluth model, where men are bad, men are predators, and women are victims. Because, see, there's power in victimization. That's how Lucifer gained his power. He had to be the victim. And most women get their power through victimization. What do you say about that?
I agree. I mean, because think about it. Women don't have the physicality to stand up and fight for their beliefs, right? You look at this country, how was this country formed? A bunch of guys got together and decided, you know what, we're going to have to fight to get it.
Mm-hmm.
And if women can't physically fight you, they have to figure out another way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just that's the way to do it. We gotta get into your head. We gotta, and don't get it twisted. There were women who encouraged men to form this country. There were men who didn't want to do it. They didn't want to fight the most powerful military on the planet. You know what I mean? They knew that we're probably going to lose, but their wives are like, no, you need to do that. You need to stand up, right? We can't continue to allow this king to rule us in such a fashion. We need a voice. We got to stand up and fight. So women do have a role. They can use that power to encourage men to do all sorts of things. So I understand why they do it. Am I going to say they're wrong for doing it? No. This is life, man. You got to do what you got to do. Use what you got to use to win. They're trying to win. And right now, they have been winning. But when men begin to back away, then women realize, like, oh, how many women out there, they go become this alpha woman. They become, they buy into feminism, right? And then they get to a point where they don't have any kids. There's no man in their life. They've slept with all these dudes. None of these dudes care about them. And they just sit there and they begin to get bitter, and then they wind up being sad.
That's right. And that's what's called the existential. So when a woman is getting older, that's an existentialist threat, because the scriptures say that charm is vain and beauty is deceitful. But when a woman realizes she hits the wall, that's an existentialist crisis. Because now she realized she hasn't been living on purpose. Her purpose was to bear the seed of her husband and then focus on her career, and then carry the legacy out from the generations, and their children teach their children and continue to build legacy. That's what it's about. But what's happening, Brother DL, is that many are in their silence, even though they say they're winning. In theory, they're winning, but they're not really winning, because they're not operating under divine order. So they're not winning. They think they're winning, but they're not winning, because her purpose was not to get her doctorate. Her purpose was to bear the seed of her husband. That was her purpose. Nothing wrong with getting a doctorate, or now if she don't want to get married, that's her business. But she still was never fulfilling her purpose. Her purpose was to bear the seed of her husband and build a legacy, and they come together as a team. Now, if she don't want to be married, I can respect that. But that's what her real purpose was. And so she ain't winning. She thinks she's winning, but they don't tell you about the stories when they're by themselves, quiet, stressed out, stressed out,
Yeah,
broken.
but technology is letting us see those stories now because
Yes,
now
sir.
we got TikTok,
Right,
we got
right.
Instagram shorts or whatever, and you see the women sitting in their cars crying, mad because they can't run the clock back, and
They can't run the clock back.
they can't run the clock back, and they had the dudes. There's so many women out here who will have these guys, the guy and like you said, men do love idealistically. Women, I will say a lot of women do love opportunistically.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to
They
Rollo
do.
Tomasi.
They do.
Rollo
They
Tomasi
do.
says that all the time. That's the guys on the red pill. They love, reading Rollo stuff. I see it. And then women get to the point, like you said, they hit the wall. Everyone hits the wall. It comes from men too, but they get really upset because the guys don't reach their stride until later in life. As a man, you start, you get into your 30s and you start making money, right? And then she's upset because that, like with Michael B. Jordan, that girl that he went to high school with was calling him a nerd and all that. Now they on the red carpet and she trying to talk to him. And he's like, nah, you call me a nerd. Remember that? And she's stuck. Like you will never be able to get that guy because you didn't have the vision and the wisdom. I mean, how many women, I could tell you this. I know for a fact, a lot of older men and older women put me on game when I was young. And they told young women too. The older women tell the young women like, nah, you better keep in touch with that young man right there. He gonna be somebody.
He gonna be somebody, right?
He gonna be somebody. But nowadays they don't listen because they want that short term.
They want short-term gratification, right?
Gratification, yep.
And they want to wait at the finish line after you've done all the work. And men will say, "Oh no, heifer, if you weren't with me in my ascension, if you weren't with me in my valley, then you can't be with me in my ascension." There was a song back in the day that said, "Back then she didn't want me, now I'm hot, they all on me." So guys are saying, "No, I'm good. I'm gonna focus on myself." Listen, this is what they doing, Brother DL saying. They said, "Don't even worry about it. You don't respect me. I wasn't good enough. I was broken, dusty. That's fine." So what a lot of guys are doing now, they're doing this. Hold tight.
Hey, girl, you gonna eat your cornbread?
Don't say nothing. You talking to me? Yeah, I think you're talking to you.
腰はひねって S 字型。
Oh yeah, they stacking their paper, they stacking their money, they're dealing with feminine women, and they're dealing with women that honor them, respect them, and traditional cultures, and obey them. I'm not saying the foreign women are perfect. If you're a simp in America, you're going to be a simp abroad. That's why these men need to get clinical help, and you get the clinical help by coming to see me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. Come get a clinical consultation, and I'll get you right, because I'm not just talking out of my behind. I'm a licensed clinical therapist, and I see these issues all the time. In therapy. And so I do have an incentive to see men win, but I'm not going to see men win it at my own expense. And so, like I said, that's why I do what I do. But let's get back to it. Hold tight.
Have gone through, and that's why we're all so fucked up right now.
Now, you know what? Somebody said something, Brother D. I want to ask you this question. Because, and this young sister said, another man-hating podcast, they're not lonely enough. Right. But somebody said something about men. They always call men down low. Somebody said something about men being down low.
Oh yeah,
here you go.
Yeah.
If men are down, if men are down, DL, the biggest issue for women are openly G men who they call friends who do not expose the DL men. More likely he's sleeping with her boyfriend. Now watch this. You know what I find so weird, Brother DL, is this. A woman will call a man down low, but according to research, most millennial women have slept with men before, women before.
Yep.
Do you know how many women have sampled or bumped beavers before? There have been a lot of women, Brother DL Saint, that's bumped beavers. I call it beaver bumping. They've been doing a lot of beaver bumping beavers, and also not telling that man the truth. But now watch this. Imagine if a man like Andrew Caldwell said, "But listen, God forgave me, but in the past, I used to like boys." Imagine if Andrew Caldwell came to a woman and told that woman about his past, and this is what Brother Andrew Caldwell said.
Not gay no more. I am delivered. I don't like men no more. I said I like women. Women.
Do you think, brother, because this is a double standard. This is the double standards that women don't want to talk about. But do you think a man could say, "Listen, in the past, I was traumatized. I was violated by another man, and God forgave me. Because, you know, women like to use the scapegoat clause after they've been ran through. You know, oh, happy days when Jesus washed my sins away. And I'm not saying that God can't forgive a person, but they always use that as a fallback because they don't want to be held accountable. They call it the Holy Jesus pipeline.
It's definitely not a flex. If you out there, if you a dude and you used to bang other dudes or got banged by dudes,
right,
and you go up to a bunch of women and say that, man, it's a wrap, bro. You done
It's a
dried
wrap.
up. Yeah, you
It's
done dried up every
it's-
woman in earshot. She ain't
it's
trying to
it's
mess
a
with
wrap.
you.
On average, a woman is not going to deal with a man that's been injured by another man. It's a principle in the term I created, Brother D.L. Saint, called the penetration principle. And so I understand why women don't want a man that's been penetrated, because in her mind, she cannot look up to a man that's been injured by another man. I get it. But conversely, men feel the same way. That's why men don't like to have the thought of his woman being entered by multiple men. A man, if he could, want the purest woman that he can get. You and I talked about on the phone that if a man can get a woman under 5, that's a superior woman. But men now can even get a woman that's been with under 5 guys. Am I right or wrong? If you find a woman in our age that's been with under 5 guys, you got a unicorn. Would you not agree?
You got a unicorn. I think that's changing. And we were talking about like body counts, wherever. When dudes come to me about body counts, they're talking about these women. I'm like, bro, don't even worry about it because she's not pure. I mean, she's probably not pure. You just get, and I asked a few questions like, all right, where did she grow up? She grew up like in an urban area, or was she in a rural area? Oh, you know, she's from, you know, Atlanta. Okay. Where did she go to school? Oh, she went to the university or whatever. I'm like, yeah, man, she done smashed some dudes. I'm just here to tell you, man, it happened. It happened. I mean, like I know, I was in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I didn't go to college when I graduated high school. I went straight to the military. So I was all about hitting up Aggie Fest, Freaknik. You know what I mean? I was everywhere doing, bro. And I was at, HBCUs, and I was at regular schools. I was at Duke. I was at Chapel Hill doing my thing. Right, I was up there. Boy, we was at Bragg, man. We Fayetteville is not that far away from them places, man. We just ride on up there. And I would go back home to Cincinnati, University of Cincinnati, going up to Xavier in Cincinnati, going up to Ohio State. And I'm telling you, the women were doing their thing. So I don't, when dudes get hung up on body count, I'm like, bro, just understand, unless she's coming from some culture where they really watch that, she's not going to be a virgin. And if she, and to find a woman with a body count that's 5 or less, that's a unicorn. You better lock her down.
Listen. I agree, and I agree with what you're saying, but I'm gonna add some nuance to it because you're correct. But here's why I would differ this a little bit. If you're not going to be serious about marriage, then you shouldn't worry about it. I agree with you 100%. If you ain't taking serious in marriage, don't worry about it. But if you're taking her serious for marriage, you need to be concerned about it. Now, we understand she ain't going to be pure, but we should be like a house inspector to say, I need to find out as we get closer to consummating this relationship, how many hot dogs you had inside of you. Because see, what these women now do, they don't tell you the whole story. They only count relationships. They don't count the one where the guy couldn't get it up or the one where it wasn't any good. And so just like she want to know your future past, a man got a right to know her sexual past. And so I think the men should be hyper vigilant if he's serious about marriage, doing research and saying, listen, if you're going to be with me, you're going to have to take a lie detector test. Because you're right. We know they're not pure. But I don't think men should pay full price for women that are not virgins. I don't believe that because I grew up in a culture where my daddy and my granddaddy got different women. I know people might say it's a different time now. Well, if it's a different time now, then men need to get with the time and stop being traditional. But the problem is men are still held to a traditional standard where women can still be modern. And men got to say, no, listen, I want to know about your past. Now, I'm not saying you ask her from the first day, but as you get closer to consummating that marriage, I didn't know how many hot dogs you had. And we know we do it with the understanding that we know she's gonna lie. So this is gonna be very extreme. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so before we get married, you need to do a lie detector test. You're gonna pay for one of them. I'm gonna pay for the other 2. I'm gonna get the best polygraphers in the world because I take marriage serious because it's a business. Because if men go and saying let it go, well, people don't understand the more men a woman's had, sometimes she can't pair bond as good. So that's a serious thing if you're thinking about the high investment of being married to a woman.
No, you're absolutely right. But the thing is, even if guys are out here saying, okay, we're going to get a polygraph test these women to prove that her body count is wherever it is, I'll be out there selling courses to women on how to beat the polygraph. You know what I mean? Like I'm hiring, the CIA guys.
That's fine. Listen. If she can beat all 3 polygraphs, more power to her. If she can beat all 3. Listen, I look at the polygraph, Brother DL, like getting a prenup. We know that all prenups are not binding in all states, but it's a safeguard. Do you see my point? It's not 100% safeguard, but it is a safeguard. And so this goes back to double standards. We know that men can't be with men. Like they said, we don't like men's, not men's, but men's with a Z on the end. A man can't be with men's. And so the double standard is men are judged harshly. Watch this. Men are judged harshly when it comes down to dating and sexual history. Men are judged harshly for low income or lack of status. Women are judged harshly for high sexual history. It's a double standard, yes, but men get judged who come from low income or lack status. So if I got high status, you're going to meet my standards. The double standard dynamic, a man with many partners is labeled as experienced, a woman with many partners are labeled negatively. But at the same time, a woman that's bumped beavers is seen as bi-curious. A man that's been sword fighting is seen as what? Gay. Do you see my point?
And that's the one double standard. That one double standard that doesn't work in a woman's favor is the high body count. Right. And I've seen so many different pushes to change that narrative, and it's never going to change. Men want what men want, women want what women want. And I tell ladies, y'all better keep them skeletons in your closet where it belongs, because if it comes to light, you're not going to be able to get married to that dude. More than likely, he's not going to want to marry.
But watch this, Brother D. If a woman is going to a relationship hiding things, then she's not being honest with that man. So it's a marriage by deception, a marriage by default. Let me ask you a question. If a woman thought you had $1 million in the bank, but you only had 100, and you gave her the impression, either through omission or direct line, that you were financially a high value man, is that not lying?
Yes, deception. 100%. And and some nations now are trying to prosecute men for that, which I thought is crazy.
Right. So what did we say? What was the social contract? The social contract meant that she had to be sexually exclusive to that man. So how is it that we give the woman a pass when it comes down to her history and keeping that to herself? But then the thing that the woman wants in her hypergamy in general is a man with money and status. Do we tell the man he hold that and keep that to himself? This a lie to get the woman? That's my whole point. We hold men to a high standard, but we don't hold women to the same high standard in a time where we say men and women are both equal. And that's a cognitive distortion. Go ahead.
When I hear this, I blame the men. Because one of the biggest things, especially dealing with the Mano Swamp, and most of the guys in the red pill world don't want to do the work to get better or to get whatever it is they're trying to get. It's like I would say 20-25% of the guys are really out here trying to do the work. Mm-hmm. But here's the deal. If you really wanted to change women, the dudes can do that tomorrow.
I agree with that.
The dudes can do that tomorrow, because like you said, you got women out here, she out here banging the guys thinking, oh, she's putting out, so at least I'm gonna be able to hit. And you got all these other guys running game, and I'm gonna talk this girl into this, which you ain't never talked. There's not a dude out there that's ever talked a woman into having sex. She wanted to do that. Mm-hmm. I don't care if my game is so. No, it ain't, bro. She wanted you, homie. For whatever reason, that's what she wanted to do. Unless you took it, and that's illegal. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, if you want to change it, fellas, you gotta stand on your square and deny the women with high body counts. That's how you change it. And if you don't do that, and then we say, well, how do you figure it out? Like, how do you find out what her body count is? My thing is this: if I think for a moment through her, interactions with her, through the way she moves, and if I think for a moment, like, yo, I think she had a serious hoe phase, I'm not gonna mess with her.
Right.
I'm gonna walk away. And then women will figure that out. Why did he leave you, girl? I don't know, but I think he found out about all them dudes, remember them 2 years I had at or remember that weekend at Aggie Fest, or remember that time we went down to Miami?
Right. And I'm gonna tell you something, Brother DL, it's even more problematic, because let's say you were one of the guys, you one of the light-skinned guys, Elder Barge, you one of the light-skinned boys. Y'all
Pretty Ricky, what they called him.
Pretty Ricky, the light-skinned boys had it popping back in the 80s, man. In the mid to late 80s with Switch and the Barge until 90, that's when chocolate was sexy, man. We had Tay Diggs and Omar Epps and Wesley Snipes. The dark-skinned brothers took over in the mid 90s. I mean, in the early 90s. But And I agree with what you're saying fundamentally, but my whole point is, in a time when we're saying that men and women are equal, then women can still keep asking men for traditionalism. Because if we're equal, then you got to come to the table where you haven't violated the social contract. And fundamentally, they all have violated the social contract. The contract has been voided out. So, you got some of these older chicks trying to capitalize on their virtue, and they might be good women. But you can't come into no relationship expecting a man talking about damn paying all bills. I'm not paying all bills for no used old cat. I'm not going to. Now,
I see your point. I do see your point. And it's like you said earlier on this podcast, on this episode, you said earlier, like, well, we're gonna have to figure out what I'm willing to pay. I'm not gonna pay full price. Like you don't pay full price for a used Honda. You just don't.
You don't, right. But somehow they still think their value is still high, and they falsely equivocate sexual market value with social market value. Two different things.
Well,
social
you know
market
why
value,
they do that though?
Right.
Because they believe because they've gotten so much sexual attention from men, and they think that that's what men like. It's cool, like because they're again what Rollo Tomasi said. Women today have become the men that they want to marry.
Right.
And that's this thing. So they're making all the money. They have the body. They have the experience. Right. They're alpha. They're making the decisions. And okay, well, if you tie in hypergamy to that, it's like, well, damn, if you're a 5%er, that means you want a guy who's a 4, 3, 2, or 1%er. And it just not enough of them dudes out there. So they have become
they're not. Right.
So, and those women believe because I'm making all this money that I am more attractive to men. Dudes don't care about how much money you're making by and large.
Right. We don't.
Right? They don't care. And they're like, well, I get all this attention from men. Well, if a woman sees a dude surrounded by a bunch of women, beautiful women, she's gonna want to know what's up with that guy. She's gonna want to talk to that guy. Just like you said, when back in the day when grandpa had another situation going on, that woman saw grandpa with his wife and all that and whatever else he had going on, and she wanted to be with him.
She wanted to be with him, right.
Men don't find that attractive though. Men don't. If I see a woman surrounded by a bunch of dudes, I ain't really trying to holler at her. I don't care how pretty she is.
Exactly. And once again, they sell social market status instead of selling sexual market value. And that sexual market value is their chastity, their beauty, and their youthfulness. That's why when some of these older women try to repackage themselves to get the top tier men, then why are you still wearing makeup? Why do you get liposuction and tummy tucks and BBLs or whatever? Because they understand that beauty carries a higher premium.
Yeah.
That's why they try to repackage it, because with beauty they carry a higher premium. Then let that man see you without the weave, the nails, the hair extensions, and I call it fake up, not makeup, but fake up. Let that man see you without the fake up and all that stuff. And you're not going to let that man see you without all that stuff until you trick him into the marriage. And then you're going to pull the mask off and he's going to see you with your crow's feet and varicose veins and all that. And the man is trapped now,
He's trapped. And it's like you said, to me, that's the same. A woman who wears a bunch of makeup and has the Spanx and the push-up bras and all the rest of it is the same as the guy who's riding around in a rented Bentley and with fake jewelry on, trying to prove that he has a lot of money. So it's all part of that dance, that game that's going on. And I put it on the dance.
It's a game, right?
It's a game. I tell the guys, like, look, y'all got to figure this shit out. Like, look, my thing is, especially with women, like, man, you really want to know what she look like, man? Go swimming. Go swimming.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point, brother DL. Let her go swimming. Because listen, I'm not saying if a woman's saying I'm an older woman, I want a good man, and she want to get with a solid man. He might not have the money of the kind of man that she wants, but he's a good guy. He loves her. Then you get with that kind of man. But even then, if you've had kids by other men, you've given your virtue away before you got married. Because if a woman give her virtue away, that's a form of pre-cheating, because she cheated her future husband out of something that should have been only for him. But these are the same women, Brother DL Saint, that get mad that a man is a higher status man. Not that I'm saying it's right, that he have options to have multiple women. They want mutual exclusivity where they were never mutually exclusive. Like you were saying back in the 90s, they were getting ran through in college. But a lot of women back then, they were sneaky with it. They didn't tell the world about how many men was hitting it on the back. They were real sneaky with their dirt back in the day. Gen X women were just more sneaky with it. These 304s now, they don't care. And so my point is, can you imagine you and I, D.L. Let's say you played basketball for Cincinnati Bearcats, and I played for Carolina. And, now with these NIL deals, you and I are older. We can't run fast like we used to. We probably can't even touch the rim.
For real.
And now we
can't touch the net, bro. I can't jump, man.
Right. And now we say, brother DL, okay, listen, I want to get paid like a 5-star recruit. I want to get paid like a 5-star recruit, but yet I can't even perform. Shout out to my man Peaceful Life. With him and I was talking about this. But I can't even perform. But this is what older women want. You're not who you used to be. Every year your beauty is fading away. And the thing that she should have is something called virtue. But she don't have any virtue. But yet you got women like Vivica Fox. You got women like Vivica Fox. What's the other chick name? Stacey Dash.
Yeah. Oh, Stacey Dash. I bumped into Stacey Dash my first year in LA back in '98. I bumped into her on Melrose.
Really?
Man, very, very back then, 1998. This is when she was like still doing her TV shows and all that. Man, she was attractive. When I saw her, I'm like, oh wow, that's Stacey Dash. It was her and another B-list celebrity that just happened to be in this little cafe on Melrose. And I bumped into I ran into quite a few celebrities, but the most beautiful woman I've ever came across, one of the most beautiful women I've ever came across, was Tyra Banks. And this was when she was like peaking. Like she was still a Victoria's Secret model. She was all that. Man, that's a beautiful woman. Her and Logan Brownie. You remember that TV show, Dear White People?
Yep.
Logan Brownie was the High Yellow Sister, the star of that show. Red bone, look real good, look mixed or whatever. I bumped into her right before I left. It was 2007, I think it was. 2000. Nah, it was 2012, 2013. I bumped into her. Bro, I didn't know who she. I just thought this is a beautiful sister right here. I thought she was from Atlanta. I'm looking at her the way she was dressed. I'm thinking, man, where is she from? And then the people that were around me recognized her when she walked away, and they started talking about her like, oh, she's an actress. She did not. Like, man, that's Logan Brownie. I had to go holler at her, man. I was busted, but I just had principle. I couldn't let her go without saying something. Had to say something to her. But having said all that, you wait 5 to 8 years, and then it completely changes they go from their peak to barely, regular, barely at the median. And that has to mess up their head. I mean, because in your field, like, what do you tell someone when it's like they lost their superpower? And they had a chance to lock down just about any man around, and they didn't do it. And now it's like, well, you're older now. Like, the wall has come. What are you going to do now? There's plenty of simps out there, plenty of simpletons that want you, but they still can't. I mean, how do you handle that?
Well, listen, you have to tell them the truth if they'll hear it. And you have to help them see their cognitive distortions and their irrational beliefs, because their beliefs are not based in rationality. They're based in irrational behavior. And many times I call that schemas. It's called a schema. A schema is based on a core belief. And then I call it a schema affliction. A schema afflictions are tied to core beliefs that are more or less based in fear. So it's called the Peter Pan syndrome, where they don't want to grow old, And so instead of accumulating virtue and keeping a quality man, then they tend to focus on things that are shallow, which is fading beauty. That's what the Bible said, charm is vain and beauty is fleeting away. But who can find a virtuous woman? Lisa Ray the same way. Lisa Ray old and talking about she want a man that make as much of her or more. Lisa Ray, that'll never happen. Because if I'm making $5 million, why would I go with Lisa Ray that's old, menopausal? Like Halle Berry. Halle Berry got a lubricant because she's old and ran through and can't get wet. So why would I settle for that?
Ooh, shots fired right there, bro. Oh.
I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but am I right or wrong?
It's biology, man. I mean, it's science.
Biology is biology, right? Science is science. So why would I pay full price for somebody that old when I can get me something young, tight, and dynamite? And they might say, well, you old, you got to use a blue pill. And that's what they always say, but that's a myth. If a man eat clean, lift weights, do his squats, get his sleep, and is not stressed out, that man can still perform.
Yeah.
He can still perform. I'm not trying to get in your personal business, but when you be around a beautiful woman, I don't think you need no blue pill.
No.
Am I right or wrong? Am I right or wrong?
Man, listen, you're right. I mean, here's the thing. As we age, men do age differently than women. And even if a woman like, I'll give you an example. Brooke Shields, right? Brooke Shields is definitely one of the most beautiful women I've ever talked to. I'm talking top 20 I've ever seen in my life. And I've been around the world a few times.
Right.
I had no idea she was that attractive. Real talk.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, even Linda Evans, still as old as she is, that's the original Wonder Woman, still is good. But like you said, why, as a guy, why would I try to engage with these women when I can go get someone who's 30 years younger?
Right. 30 years younger. But not only that, get a woman that's not been damaged or imprinted as much, because we know the older a woman she's getting more set in her ways. And we understand that younger women can be ran through too. But let's say hypothetically, you got a younger woman that has not been imprinted as much. And you got her, you know, when she was fresh off the market. Like I got a daughter in college. She's a beautiful girl, as far as I know, still a virgin. And I want her to get with an older man, but he got to be a higher tier older man, because my daughter's coming in pure. So you're gonna have to pay a high price to get with my baby. I don't want my daughter to get with no dusty man, a man that got a bunch of baggage, you know, a bunch of children by multiple women. I don't want my daughter to have that, unless she chooses that. But I don't think that would be the best path for my daughter, because I've raised my daughter to get the best, because she's at her peak right now when she's young. She has a tight body, and I want her to get the best man that she can get. I don't want her to settle for no sorry guy that don't have a plan, and he can't give her a high quality life. Those kind of women deserve top tier men, because you know they got the accoutrements to get that kind of man. But you got these older chicks like Lisa Ray and you know Stacey Dash or whatever, ran through old. But yeah, you damn talking about you want man, you still want a high value man. I mean, it's an insult. It is an insult to men to put in the work, because we had to work hard to get our value. Now, don't get me wrong, height and charisma plays a role. Yeah. But that's not the highest essence of our value as men. The highest essence is our money and our status. Not saying because you know we know dusty men get with women all the time, and women pay full price for dusty men. But the highest peak, a man's highest essence, is his money and his status.
And here's another thing too. There's I used to run a comedy show on Sunset years and years ago, and the bar, the club was owned by a brother. Shout out to Omar. And this brother was a professional bodybuilder. But, you know, he had money. He and his brother owned Dublin's before it closed down. You remember that's Jay-Z's song, Bubbling in Dublin's? They owned that joint. Dublin's was legendary. And so we were sitting around talking, and he's like, man, you know, you don't get more top tier than this guy. He's like 6'3", you know, 235 pounds, lean. I mean, like no fat on him, like crazy, you know what I mean? Bald head, handsome fella. And he was like, man, you can go out here. He's like millionaire 3 or 4 times over. And he was telling the story. He's like, yeah, man, I met this one girl, man. She was just bad little shorty. I'm trying to holler at her. So I, you know, get the Rolls Royce. He had the Phantoms out before people was doing Phantoms like that. This is before bottle service, man. Takes her out, uses all of his, you know, not all of his, but, you know, calls in some favors, gets into the hottest spot, gets to the nicest restaurant. End of the night, it's time to go home. She leaves with the busboy from the restaurant. And, you know, he was like, that's when I determined that I'm not even, it's not about money as much, like, especially with these young girls. Cause like you said, she hasn't really been banged around that much yet. So in her mind, you know, it was just like, oh, thanks for all this stuff. She didn't even realize it. She didn't appreciate it. You know what I mean? I don't recall him saying that she even thanked him. And she goes home with some broke dude. Now that little girl, wherever she is now, she's probably, you know, close to her, you know, in her mid 40s. She's probably going crazy, scouring social media, trying to find my man Omar to be like, oh, I'm ready for you now type shit. And it's like, you missed your window, shorty.
She missed a window.
You missed your window. But I wanted to tell that story to so many guys out there. It was like, oh, man, he's a Chad. He's an Alpha. He's a Tyrone. Man, it doesn't matter. If you're going out here leading with your wallet, if she ain't into you, man, you can't buy her. You can't do it. She's still going to do what she's doing.
Right. That's why I said that a man got to be masculine, number one, and money helps accentuate that man's masculinity. And then there are other qualifiers like height and, having good conversation can make a woman laugh.
There it is.
But even though money is the higher quality, money is not the only quality. Because there have been many women that settle for dusty men. Dusty men that are broke, but sometimes that dusty man can lay that wood better. And so, she'll get with the dusty man, but her biological imperative still says that she wants all of that in one man. And that's hard to find in one man.
And see, that's the key right there, brother. That is the key. This is why women have so many dudes. Right? They want the guy who makes them laugh. They want the guy that can protect them. They want the guy that's kind of dangerous. They want the guy that's kind of nerdy that can teach them sort of thing. They want the guy who has the resources to travel. They want to get into the private jet. They want to walk the red carpet. You know how difficult it is to find that in one dude?
Yep.
You know what I mean? So they mess with these different guys. I'm not saying they smashing all of them, but they smashing most of them.
Mm-hmm.
They mess with these dudes. Meanwhile, time is ticking. And then they wake up one day and these dudes don't want her anymore. Why? Because the younger version of her is there. They're going to go for the 22-year-old version of her.
Mm-hmm.
And now she's going to be angry and all men are evil or whatever they're going to say. And it's like, well, why didn't you had all these different dudes? Why didn't you just pick one and marry him? But he wasn't perfect. He wasn't everything. Like, you're not going to get everything. Men and men understand that. Like, what do men want? Mostly fit, friendly, and feminine. If they get those three things, man, they happy as they can be.
Right. Well, I would say fit, feminine, friendly, and also chaste. Because chastity is a major component for what men want.
I think a lot of dudes have given up on that one, brother. I'm just going to keep it 100 with you. I think especially the older guys who've done the work, who've gotten to the finish line, I think they've given up on that. I mean, she just doesn't exist.
Well, no. You're right. I think they come into the game being logical. We know. I agree with you. I mean, when I was saying that we hope that it happened, but we understand that the likelihood of it happening is slim to none. Do you see my point?
Yeah, I see your point. But I mean, that used to be a really big thing. But I just think, especially now, when you go into someone's Instagram or, the older guys, they can go on some girl's Facebook. I'm like, she got a Facebook? Like, how old is she, shorty? But when they see all these pictures, like, here she is at the Eiffel Tower. Here she is at Big Ben. Here she is, on the red carpet or something in Miami. You're like, she makes $45,000 a year. How do you think she got to them places?
Yep.
And guys are starting to see that. Here she is at Mr. Childs. Here she is, in New York at Carbone's. Here she is at the Met Gala.
Mm-hmm.
And they, even the dumbest guy, it doesn't take him long to figure out, like, yeah, some dude is taking her to these places.
Mm-hmm.
So a bunch of dudes are taking her to these places.
Right.
So
I totally agree.
Yeah. So that chase thing is like, come on, man. I wish I could sit here and say, like, yeah, I think there are a lot of women. I can say this. I think that the younger generation coming up, a lot of these girls, they are virgins. Like, I look at my daughter's generation. My daughter's 17.
I agree with that. It's like a new movement going on. I agree with you.
Because think about when we were in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I was in elementary school, there was a girl in my elementary school who was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that wasn't even like, it was shocking back then. But now you look at it like, pregnancy in middle school and high school was just like, whatever, in certain bubbles. But then I look at my daughter's school. I talked to my daughter about it. She was like, yeah, there was a rumor that one girl at another school got pregnant. I just know kids in your school pregnant. She was like, nope. What about middle school? Like, nope. So these kids aren't really doing it like we were back in the day. And I think that's good. That's a new movement moving forward. So all these guys gonna be trying to get one of these girls? You know what I mean? Like 60-year-old dudes trying to get these 19, 20-year-olds coming right out of high school?
Right. And so my premise is, when I tell men should optimize outcomes, is that I agree with you. Most men our age understand that finding a woman that's chaste is like finding, like Dorothy said, somewhere over the rainbow.
Right.
We know it's possible, but it's not probable. But I still say men that got money and status and access shouldn't settle either. I think that men should be exhaustive in getting the best that they can get with their money. I don't think men should settle if they've done the work. Like you established, you're a silver fox, you probably got wealth. And I think you should go in trying to find the best of the best. Now watch this. I do believe in some countries, that you can still find that. I would argue St. James, a man of your stature. How tall are you? About what, 6 feet?
6 feet.
6 feet. You're a silver fox. I'm going to assume that you probably make six figures. I could be wrong, but I'm going to assume that.
Yeah.
And I would say that a man of your stature, because I remember you saying you date dimes. You can go to Suriname, you can go to Namibia, you can go to South Africa, and you can find the kind of woman that you're looking for. You can find her. And so, if men limit their search to America, then you're not going to find her. But if you broaden your horizon, you can still find that kind of woman, but you might not find her here.
And she's really difficult to find here. Can you find her in America? Yes, you can. America's a really big country.
Right.
Most folks don't even stop in flyover country. You can go to Grayling, Michigan and find you a good woman up there. Like, you can go to Walla Walla, Washington and find you a good woman. But
right.
I agree with what you're saying. I'm well traveled. And yeah, I'm retired air traffic controller, great pension, all that money put away, even though I'm dealing with the family court system, but I'm still able to deal with that and still have something set up for my daughter. But people ask me all the time, like, you think you'll ever get married? Like, nah, it doesn't make sense for me at this age. I'm too old. I'm too old.
Now, unless you don't want to be out here fornicating, that's the only reason. But
I'm a heathen. I'm a heathen. I'm the friendly neighborhood heathen. It's what it is.
Yeah, you the horny seagoat. You the horny seagoat.
Man, that's between me and God. I'm sorry, bro. We got to understand it. I'm a heathen, but I promise God I'll stay out of his church. Like, I'll stay out of your church.
Right. I love you. Let me read this super chat. They said they put a happy man and a trans man in a straight conversation to undermine it. Nobody wants black men to solve or discuss our issues. And I agree with that brother 100%. Let me get more into this, man. Shout out to King Pure Energy. Shout out to him. Guys, make sure y'all donate to the channel. But yeah, man, I want to see you like a 5-star recruit, man. You'll be a 5. Now you're a 3-star here in America, but if you travel abroad, on DL Saint, man, you're a 5-star recruit. China, South Africa, DR.
Not a big fan of China. I've been to Beijing and Shanghai. I ain't gonna lie to you, but my people told me I didn't go. I got to go to Guangzhou. That's what they were saying. I'm like, I don't think I'm going back to China. In fact, my visa just ran out for China. There was like a 10-year visa, so it just ran out. But Japan is great. South Korea, I'm a big fan of South America.
Right.
Philippines, Philippines. Here's the thing: the passport bros have really messed up travel for people like us.
But people assume, brother DL, that so that's a misnomer too, because people assume that passport bros is a broad term. Are there passport deviants in passport bros? Yes, but that's not all encompassing of passport bros. That's like you got black folks and you got dusty Negroes, and so you're a good black man, but there are dusty Negroes too. So that we say just because your skin color you're dusty, but people make that false analogy that passport bros are messing it up. I would say passport pirates are messing it up, but they don't encompass passport bros. Passport bros is a loose organization. It's an ideology of men seeking freedom. There are men that are traveling abroad. They're not doing deviant stuff. So I just wanted to say that, but go ahead.
Now, I feel you on that. But the thing is with the, and when we use the term passport bros, I'll say you got your passport bros and you have well-traveled men.
Yeah,
they're well-traveled people, like well-traveled men. And then they're like, the dudes are like, oh, I could go get a dime for $20 in Colombia. Oh, I can go get a dime for, $30 in DR. And those guys went down there with no understanding, with no game, and they wrecked it. Now, does that affect me or the well-traveled men? No, it doesn't affect us. But it does suck because, it used to be it was just on site. I was golden. If I'm walking around Colombia, if I'm walking around Medellin, or I'm walking around Cartagena or Bogota, it was a given. It was just the way you were treated on site. Now it's kind of like they test you.
Right.
Is this a real one or is this one on passport bros? And once they realize, oh, you real one, you good. But
once again, those men are not even the ones they call deviants. We call them passport pookies. They're not because they're not even passport bros. I mean, passport bros is not what people tend to associate passport bros with deviant men, the $5 holler, the ones that are tearing up the ecosystem. But those men are not passport bros. And so even like when Floyd and whatever, Floyd associated himself used to say, well, I'm not a passport bro, but he did the same behaviors that he accused the passport bros of doing. Passport Bros is a loose organization. There are men in the passport movement that are deviants, but that's not Passport Bros in general. Passport Bros in general are just solid guys looking for love, looking for relationships, or they might be weekend warriors when they're trying to get it in, but they're not trying to cause harm. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're well traveling, you know what I'm talking about. If you go into what's called red light districts, those women a lot of times try to exploit men, for what I've heard. A lot of men that go into red districts when they travel abroad, many times they're the victims of exploitation. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to travel abroad for that. America doesn't have official red light districts, but you can hit Figueroa in LA. That's the red light district.
Excellent point.
You know what I mean?
That's an excellent point, right?
And these guys set themselves up because they're marks. You know what I'm saying? They're lames. Right. And it's I tell guys all the time, man, you can't look for cheat codes and expect good results.
Right.
Right. But it's hard to tell that to a guy who ain't never, you know what I mean? To a guy who's thirsty, he's trying to drink water, man. He don't want pure, I gotta have mountain water. Like, I need some, bro. I'll take that scummy water right now, but because I'm thirsty, I gotta have some water. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, you gotta do the work. And I tell guys in America, I'm like, listen, man, America, in my opinion, is one of the, if not the toughest place to date on planet Earth. It's the hardest environment. So if you can just get okay with, like, you can just get decent with it, and then you travel, oh my God, man, you a top tier dude no matter where you land, because you understand what's going on and you have the game. Like, you can start up a conversation, and people are like, well, you know, come on, DL, you speak fluent Spanish. Like, no, I don't. No, I don't. And I was traveling before smartphones.
Right.
And I'm down there. I would write out what I needed to say, my terms, whatever, my phrases, and I would have a translator book in my pocket. And I would talk to the women and using my broken Spanish, and they would use their broken English. And guess what? We be doing what we do. But it took work, you know what I mean? And I started, and then I'm gonna go to, I'm out in LA talking to women, going to salsa spots and just talking to women, and you know what I'm saying? Like going down to Miami. And then I went to Aruba. Then you start going down to like Curacao or DR. You look at Brazil. Then you look at Colombia. It took time because this wasn't a thing back then. But now everyone's grabbing their passport, and I'm not mad at that. I think men should be well traveled, but do the work up front so you can have the true experience, because these women are different than American women. They are different.
1,000,000%. I agree with you. You're 100% correct. And I've told men that several times. If you're a simp in America, you'll be a simp abroad. Hold tight. Let's get into this, and we're going to end this at some point. This has been good, man. Real good conversation. I love your energy. You know, I like you a point guard, man. I'm the big man down post, man. You got to give me the assist, man.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to feed you, bro. I'm going to feed you all day. Like, get that.
Hold tight.
Want a man to take you serious?
Reality of that.
When they have multiple children by multiple
pause it real quick?
men.
I just think.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Sarah, right here, right on this podcast, this woman right here. I hope you got the part on there when
Shout out to Tip Network. Shout out to Tip Network. Go ahead.
Yeah, shout out to them when Cam Newton was saying, I think you bullied your husband into marrying you. Is that you gonna cover that or no?
No, I'm not covering that. No, it was just a little clip I want to add to the conversation.
Okay, let's see this clip. I was just saying, yeah, and
okay,
she's fine.
Okay.
I mean, that's what dudes want. They want her right there.
Right.
Gets lowered when they have multiple children by multiple men.
I just think that the reality of that answer is women's value get lower the more children that they have.
Damn! At some point, you're going to want a man to take you serious. And how many kids are you going to want him to take you serious with? I got 3. It's hard out here with 3 kids trying to find a man that want to with you. You get what I'm saying? You got no kids, you can't find a man really want to with you. Not me having 3 kids. A man trying to find a man to with me. You get what I'm saying?
So if men can still be high value with multiple baby mamas and multiple girls, why is it that the women have to put in extra work to be high value if they have multiple children by multiple men?
There's multiple reasons. Number one, your womb has already been occupied by another man's seed. That's the biggest part, right? Then on top of that, your whole body just changed physically. Your whole physiology just changed. Your whole mindset around everything just changed because you had a baby by somebody else's seed.
Ma'am, you're 32 with 3 kids by 3 different men. And you say you deserve a man making 6 figures. You don't need a high value man. You need a high value mirror.
So my friend, like, she has 2 kids. Both are like teenagers now, and like the thing that I don't like is like when she dates guys and then they fall out or something, they'll be like, out of here, I'll be feeding you and your kids. Like, they be trying to throw it back in their face, and it's like, that's why I can only imagine how hard it is being a single mom.
It's not even like, it is throw it back in your face, but it's like I said, expectations and it's the reality of the situation.
Break that down.
Because, and I was having this conversation, with one of the mother of my children, and she's still fine. You know what I'm saying? But like I was telling her, I was like, yo, the guy that you're dating or will date, if he ain't willing to love on these 5 children that you have, that ain't the guy for you.
Well, I understand what Cam is saying, but to me, that's an insult. Because if Cam Newton put his seed in and produced 5 women, I'm not damn going behind that. I'm not. I don't want that for my woman. If every man got married today, Brother D.L. Saint, then there'll still be 2 million women left without a husband.
Yeah.
So why would I go behind a woman her body has been severely ravaged? It's one thing to put your seed in a woman, she have your babies, then that's fine. You're going to do everything in your power to take care of that woman because she bears your seed. We're going to give her the highest honor. But I'm not going behind no man to put 5 babies in, because Cam Newton probably alpha-wielded her, big-time athlete. He alpha-wielded the woman. It doesn't mean that the man can't perform sexually, but my point is, I don't want that. That's beneath me. I want you to tell the audience, Brother Saint, when you and I were teenagers, because back in the day when we were coming up in the 90s, there were a lot of girls having Alouette. There was a teen pregnancy epidemic in the 80s and the 90s. You remember that?
Yes, sir.
But if a woman had a kid or she was a baby mama, was she not a social pariah? Yes or no?
Yeah, she was an outcast.
She was an outcast, right?
She was an outcast. That's just keeping it 100, guys. Especially back then, like that little girl that I was telling you, I was in elementary school. There was a girl in one of our students. She was pregnant. Now, in her case, I think it was, some legalities involved. Something went down. But even then, they were just, the grown-ups, the grown women, they treated her a little different. It was a stigma there.
It was a severe stigma. But to expect a man that got money and status and work hard to come behind that's a fool. Hold tight.
So you can look at what you
a year. Black women earn $327 a year.
So this is the double standard about the trauma narrative. We're gonna end it in a few minutes. I want to see this Duke Michigan game. I'm in the Tar Heel State, the greatest state in the
I ain't mad at you.
but Brother D.L., you was on this podcast. Shout out to Black Man Unfiltered. And you notice Anissa always talk about things through a trauma narrative. Do you remember that conversation? What do you think about what she said, this trauma narrative? Before you answer, I'm going to play the clip. Hold tight.
So women, period, absolutely stayed in situations that may not have been the best situations for survival. Absolutely. They were not making the money in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s to carry a household on their own, especially if you had 5, 6, 8, 10 kids. Where were you going and you made $300 a year? Okay, those women had to stay for survival. But as time went on, what I can say for myself is my parents raised me to never be in a position, never put yourself in a position where you have to, there's a
man.
They
want men to be able to protect,
like I said,
a fucking week to make some money, but the women made money. Women make
We're here.
To stay
What I'm trying to
carry a household on their own.
What they don't understand back then, Brother D.L. saying, of course, white women make more money than black women, but white men make more money than black men. And black men and black women had to work together collectively in order to survive. But they curate these false dichotomies like, black men was making the same amount of money as black women, and that, black women that have options, and, all black men back then were abusive and they were hurting black women and they didn't have choices. What do you think about that lack of that kind of disrespect that a lot of these women are pushing towards black men?
I don't think the women realize it's disrespectful towards black men. And it's that, like you said, that victimhood mentality that it's cool to be a victim. And, it's not my fault that I'm a baby mama, or it's not my fault that my mother raised me this way. And it is disrespectful. And what's sad about it is the simpletons that are lined up, like you said, to take these women on.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's what you want to do, by all means do it.
Mm-hmm.
But just understand what you're getting yourself into. But yeah, man, I you hear this all the time. And I'm always wondering, like, okay, so what are we trying to stay here? So you're saying that today women are just blowing up their families because of something that may have happened to their mom or their grandma back in the day?
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing it because they can.
Mm-hmm.
All right. But mom and grandma, even if they came from an abusive situation, which that wasn't the norm, by the way. Did it happen? Of course it happened, but it wasn't the norm.
Right.
They stayed together. They stuck it out. We go to women would say, you know what, I'm thinking about leaving so-and-so. And a lot of women had businesses, and they were working, they were making money. They could afford to live on their own.
Mm-hmm.
But they would go talk to their, sisters or their inner circle, their mom, grandma, and would be told, nah, stick it out. Do it for the kids. Stay there. You chose them. You made your bed, lay in it, all that kind of stuff. But now it's like, go. Just leave. And matter of fact, leave and then, take half of his money on your way out.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. And a lot of them now, man, what they're doing, they see men as a retirement plan. They see a lot of men as a retirement plan. She already had all the fun she want. That vagina is tired and worn and weary. That vagina is singing that song, gonna lay down my burdens by the riverside.
I ain't never heard it referred to as weary, boy. That's hilarious. It is true though. It's true, boy.
Look. She gonna say I'm gonna study penises no more. She tired now. That vagina tired and weary and worn. And now all of a sudden, Brother Dio say she want a simp retirement plan that come in and rescue her and not her children, but her children, and make her feel special. I heard women say, "I want a man to make me an honest man." After she gave all her virtue away, been ran through, and she said, "I want a man to make me an honest woman." Can you imagine that? You've been ran through, but you want a man to make you an honest woman after you've been plowshared by 20, 30, 40, 50 men, 100 men, but you want a man there to see you as special and make you an honest woman.
Well, I mean, a lot of these guys, they'll come, tell me about these women and like, well, she's a good girl because she's making me wait. Oh, she's making you wait.
She's making him wait, right?
Making you wait. But I could go run into the same little shorty. She didn't make me wait last night, but she making you wait.
Right.
If that's what you want, fine. I mean, that's my thing. If that's what you want, fine. But if this goes sideways, and it probably will, you cannot be mad at her. You can't be mad at anyone else. You can only be mad at the man in the mirror because you agreed to this.
Right.
Period.
Right. Because the man that she really want, listen, the man that she's really attracted to, and her imprint, or a man equivalent to her imprint, he don't have to pay all bills. She'll either pay a lot of the, she'll go 50-50, 60-40 with that kind of man. And he don't have to take her to fine restaurants. She'll do a Netflix and chill with him, because that's the man that she really wants. But she make your goofy behind wait, pay all bills, and she give you that used cat when she feel comfortable giving you that used cat.
Man, I call it the Foxy Brown. She give you that weary. What you call it? Weary. She gonna give you that weary Foxy Brown.
Right. Before we go, man, because this show actually went better than I thought it was, man. You did an excellent job. I enjoyed. I got some more I wanted to cover, man, but we'll be here darn near
tomorrow.
We'll be here, man. We'll be here tomorrow talking, man, because this was a good conversation. But let's get back into it. Double standards before we end it, Brother DL Saint.
Double standards, man. I'm working on this book. My bad, it fell off my. I want to read about this 1929. This is the guy who wrote Too Big to Fail, and this is a good book, by the way. It fell down, my bad. But double standards, man, are always going to be there. There's really only one double standard that doesn't work in the favor of women, and that's when it comes to body count. And the reason men get so much credit for having a high body count is because it is so difficult, right, to get sexual access from women.
Very
and women
difficult.
Understand
Right.
that.
Right.
So if you're a guy and you've been with 50, 100, 300 women or whatever, women are gonna look at that like, well, there's got to be something about this guy
Right.
that he was able to get all these women. Now, a woman, I don't care what she looks like. I don't care how heavy she is. I don't care nothing. She got a Foxy Brown, right? She got a little cootie cat. She can get some dude that's going to want to hit that. So it's easy for women to get sexual access from men. And this is why guys frown on that. Like, it's so easy. Like, you don't have the discipline.
They get the virtual way, right? They give it away for free.
Like, so you, and that's where it boils down to. So that's the one double standard that doesn't work for women. And they're doing their best right now to try to change that narrative. And it's never going to work because
it's never going to work.
Men will never be okay with that. There are men out there who will just, like I said, guys would love to have a virgin. Bro, I don't think as old as I am and as long as I've been in the game, I don't think I've ever had a virgin in my life. Ever. In my mind, I'm like, man, they don't exist unless you're talking about getting someone like, 17, 18 years old, fresh out of high school. I don't think you're going to get that.
You can find them. You can find them in countries where tradition is still strong. They still exist in the Philippines. They exist in like Namibia, Tanzania, Tanzania. You can find them. You just got to go to the cultures where they're like, you can go to some Islamic cultures like Morocco or Ethiopia. They still there. They're just not here.
And of course, I was referring to America. Like whenever I talk about this, I'm referring to America.
I got you. Yes, sir.
You can leave America. Yeah, it's a whole new world out there.
It's a whole new world out there, right? But here, you're right. The chance to find them is like slim to none. And I tell men to continue to keep the bar high. But, it's a lot of simps out here, man. They don't know what their worth is. And let me tell you something, Brother D.L. Saint. The greatest fear that a woman has is for a man to wake up and know his worth and stop tolerating disrespect.
You think that day is going to come here in America?
I think that day will come when men start opening their eyes up and start demanding more. I think it's already here. The fact that, men are checking out and being apathetic, I think it's here. Women are not getting royal treatment, Brother D.L. Saint, like they used to. Women were better courted back in the past than they are now, but they're not being courted now like they used to be courted. Men used to serenade women. Now, we did some simping back then too. We were conditioned to simp with Troop and Guy and Force MD singing that song called Tears. Hold on, you remember that song called Tears?
Yes, you remember Fairy Tale Lover from who did that? That was the big dudes. Lisa, no, not Lisa. What was the name of the guys from House Party? The guys with the Jerry Curls, real big dude. What was their name? Big bodybuilding type dudes. Chat, help me out here. What's the name of that group? It's a male group. They sang, but they, they look like bodybuilders. God, what was their name? Anyway, they had a song called Fairy Tale Lover. And it's like they say if you believe in fairy tales, it's a great song. And then, like you said, we had Troop. Even like Jodeci and them was still singing about a little bit of love, but there was a lot of lust in there too. You know what I mean? Full force. Thank you, brother Mandrell. Yeah, full force. I mean, dude, it was. I think that I hope it comes back. We have this technology and this word is getting out here, and men are starting to think about it. I will tell you this: it's really hard. It's harder now for women to get a random dude to buy them a drink. I can report that from the front.
Yes, sir. Let me tell you something. Listen, the advent of these conversations from Kevin Samuels, even though Kevin Samuels got some of his talking points to other men, nothing wrong with that. It was just borrowed common knowledge. But my point is, the message has been out there. That's why they don't like men talking, and they want to. When you start talking about things they don't like, they want to use shaming language by calling you misogynist.
Who hurt you? All that kind of stuff.
Who hurt you? Your mama black.
And there are bad actors out there. There are bad actors out there saying some hateful stuff. There's not a lot of them, but there's enough. And it's funny, how come they always get the spotlight? You got some random dude say something crazy over here, and everybody want to spotlight that. It's because they want to shut the whole message down. We're sitting here having a conversation. Yeah, we're sitting here talking about this is what it was like in the 80s, right? It wasn't a simp thing if you showed up and showed up with a flower, you're trying to write some poetry or like you said, something like that. That was just how the game was played. But now
that's how the game was played. But the women were better. But trust and believe. Not saying Gen X women were perfect, but you could have found a lot more wholesome women. Because I remember back in the day, Brother DL, I remember a girl, I used to work with her, and she had said she had been with 7 guys. And we thought that was the S word back then.
Boy,
but but that's really nothing now. That's 7. That's like she's a Virgin Mary now.
Yeah, she's top shelf today.
She's
7?
top shelf today, right? And so, but we used to serenade women back then because they were better. They were more kinder. They had natural hair. And they were just fun. Women in the 90s, I did, like I said, I should have did a lot more dating, but I got married when I was 23 because I'm more conservative. I grew up in the church, but if I had been a dog, man, I would have been like a Ravens wolf knocking them down because I was 6'4", 6'5", man, and my voice was deeper back then, but still deep. But I had a very deep voice, but I was just trying to live right, and so it was hard, man. It was literally difficult because I was trying to live right, but I'm like, man, the dog in me would knock these bowling pins over, man.
Not the dog in you, not that atomic dog in you coming out, bro. Like, and look, as a dude who was out there, I was out there. All right, like I said, I've been your friendly neighborhood heathen for a long time, and it was back in the day. It was harder to get a woman to want to just come in and sleep with you or whatever. I mean, you had to put in a lot of work because she knew what she was risking.
You had to put in a lot of work.
You had to put in a lot of work. Today, even now with my old butt, I could go out here and a girl will DM you or text you hours after you met her, talking about come on over.
Right. Like Lionel Richie says, easy like Sunday morning, there, man.
My goodness, easy like Sunday morning, and that's not a good thing because it's not. If it's that easy for me, because a lot of dudes are like, oh man, and it's the you think like, oh, I got this. She goes to church. She's a good Latina or a good black girl, good whatever. And it's like, well, look, she let me come over here after knowing me for 2 hours. She didn't let everybody come over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's harder to find the kind of virtue, man, that we used to find. Before I let you go, man, what'd you get out of the conversation? Number one, and then number two, if you got married again, what would be your ideal woman? Being realistic, everything. What'd you get out of the conversation? Then, if you got married again, what would be your ideal woman? And thank you, man. I really enjoyed the conversation. Dope conversation, man.
I appreciate you reaching out to me, brother. I really do. This definitely turned out better than I hoped.
And tell my man the next time, man. I like him too, man. Your boy. We'll do a one when I bring him on too, and we'll have another show, man.
Bet we'll make that happen. So okay, I'll take the second question first. I'll give you the second question first. I wouldn't get married. I'm just keeping it 100 with you, man. I don't see a situation in which I will sign a marriage contract in this country. I just don't see it happening. Now, that doesn't mean I wouldn't have a long-term relationship. And if I'm having a long-term relationship, what am I looking for? I'm looking for a woman who is beautiful, of course, like fit, friendly, feminine, that sort of thing. I'm looking most of all for a woman who's going to appreciate me.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a woman who wants to be submissive to a man, and a woman who appreciates a man who appreciates her being submissive, if that makes sense. So that's what I would be looking for. And even if we get to the point where we want to be together, I'm still not going to sign a contract. I just don't see myself signing that contract. It doesn't make sense. I would do it under one condition: if her net worth was greater than mine. If her net worth was greater than mine, then I would sign a marriage contract in America. What did I get out of this conversation? I got a lot. You know what I mean? I want to find that book, Paradise Lost. I want to talk about the end time. John Milton, who I was going to ask you too, who was that? John Milton. I want to what else did I get out of this? A great conversation. It made me think back on the way I was raised in spirituality and like having that element, because obviously you had that. Like you said, you came up in the church and you were still there. And I think I'm definitely far further away than you are, to God, to spirituality. So this conversation has me, thinking about that. Like maybe I'll try to get back into that world. Maybe I can find, I don't see myself going into a church, but maybe I can get some people, we could just meet up somewhere and just talk and read the scriptures. The scriptures.
Right. But sadly, ideally it would be good to find a church to preach the gospel, but I'm not saying that they still exist, but they far and few in between.
They're far and few in between. And the last thing I got of this was I guess I would if I were to marry a woman, I want a woman who's okay with love, honor, and obey.
Yes, sir. I love that. Yep.
I wrote that down.
And no hyphens. No hyphens, man.
No hyphens.
No hyphens, man. Can't be no hyphens. If you're gonna be my woman, you got to take the whole name. It ain't gonna be no hyphen, you know. Oh,
Right.
you're gonna have to take my full name, sweetie. If I'm gonna go, because let me tell you what I've learned before I let you go. In relationships, man, you got to make a woman earn it. If you don't make her earn it, she'll never respect it. That's just human nature. She'll never respect it. But anyway, what's your basketball team, man? You a Cincinnati Bearcat fan?
I mean, I like the Bearcats. You know, Cincinnati don't have a pro team, so I get to just follow whoever I want to follow. And I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I'm not really feeling the NBA right now. I miss the old days, man. I miss the physicality. But I like the Bearcats. And if I'm gonna follow a pro team, I guess I will go with the Heat. Well, football, absolutely, 100%. I'm a Bengals fan until they screw up this thing with Joe Burrow. They let Joe Burrow get away, then I'm gonna become a nomad. I'll never be with another team.
They're talking about letting Joe Burrow go, man?
Yeah, man. It's rumors out there. It's speculation out there that Joe ain't happy. And you know, if I wake up like the people in Chicago woke up and found out that their team is gone, if I wake up and find out our quarterback is gone, I'm a nomad. I will never claim another team, but if they let Joe Burrow get away, then I might have to hang it up.
Joe Burrow put y'all back on the map, man, for a while.
Oh my good. Him and Chase? Stop it.
Chase, right.
Yeah. So yeah, but and the last thing too, hey guys, one thing we didn't cover about the way women were back in the day versus women today. And I think you can, and brother coach, I think you can back me up on this. When a woman, you could tell when a woman was really into, when she really loved you, because she was practicing spelling your last name.
Really? See, I love that's a different spin.
That's when we was coming up, the girls, like your girlfriend in high school, especially,
right?
Your girlfriend will be sitting around, you'll see some scrap paper, and let's say your last name is Anderson and her name is Sarah. She'll be writing Sarah Anderson. She'll be sitting there practicing spelling your last name. That's when you knew that she was really into you.
Now, Dio, have you ever been married, man?
No, never been married. And again, I'll never. I just don't see it happening.
Did you ever come close?
Yeah, I wanted to. I've always wanted that traditional family. I did come close, but when I came close, it was me trying to patch up a silly situation. It's one of the things that I preach. Like, make sure your head's right when you're going out here dealing with women, especially if you're looking for a relationship. Because if your head ain't right, you're gonna overlook things. You're gonna miss important things. And I got with the wrong person, guys. I got to just keep it 100. Like the worst type of woman you could possibly be with, man. And again, if my head was right, I would have never. It was funny when I first met the woman. I'm out hanging out early in the evening. Her and her friends come in, and I left. I saw them come in, and I got up and walked out. And she asked me about that later on. Like, when you first saw us, how come you left? And the reason was, I'm like, I can sense there was something wrong in y'all group. I didn't know who it was, and it turns out it was the one I picked. She was the problem. I understood that, but I ignored all that. Got myself into a situation and was still trying to, like, I'll marry this woman just so we can be there for, you know, the family and just kind of raise our kids. Nah, bro. No, it didn't work. Thank God I didn't go through it. I mean, I lost an engagement ring, right? So I lost, what was that? $15,000. But whatever.
15?
Whatever. Like I say, man, we was doing it big. I'm only gonna do it once.
15? That is insane, man.
It was a beautiful stone, bro.
And that's a lot of money that's still a lot of money now, especially back then.
Yeah, it was a beautiful stone, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. It was emerald cut. It was beautiful, damn near flawless. It was a nice stone. But hey, man, I wasn't, and mom, again, I wasn't right. You have to be right. This is what I remember being taught in church. You got to be right in order to deal with this world. You got to be right and able to move in this world the way you want to move in God's word. And if you're not right, you're gonna fall. And I failed.
Right. You're right. And you know what, man? The Bible said that your heart, well, I don't know if it's in the Bible, but they do say it in the church that your heart and mind be clear. And I tell a lot of men in therapy that their head is right, but their heart is not right, or their heart is right, but their head is not right. And you can't make a sound decision if you're not centered. And a lot of men are not making sound decisions, man. But you know what, man? It's unfortunate, man. But at least you got a daughter out of the equation, man. But I believe your queen is still out here, man. I think she's still waiting for you, man. She's still waiting for you.
She can keep waiting. And like even in that chat with 3808, it wasn't just the wrong head. Like you chose her of the wrong head. It wasn't just that. That was a part of it.
Right.
But it was really trying to force something that wasn't meant to be. And that's one of the biggest things. Guys, if y'all don't take anything away from this conversation, if this is the only thing you take away from this conversation, just understand that you can't force someone to be somewhere they're not, right? You know, you can't change a 304 into a housewife. It can't be done.
Can't be done.
And so many good men have fallen trying to do just that. And I'll leave it there. But thank you, brother. Thanks for having me on here. Oh, my brother's in the chat. Jay Swans, 1883. He in the chat. That's my man. That's my man. 100 grand. We served in the same unit. We met at Fort Bragg in our we're both paratroopers.
Okay.
And man, he could tell you some stories. You talk about knowing where all the bodies are buried. He know where all the bodies are buried down there. So,
what do you mean by that? You mean the women y'all have fun with?
Well, just everything, not just the women, but whatever we was getting into. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's my guy. Like we were from Atlanta to North Carolina to South Korea. You know what I mean? Like we were right there, thick as thieves. And I had my back, he had his. This is one of the things that men need to understand, bro. Y'all need a brother in your life, like a true brother. I don't mean black person. I mean like a man, a brother that wasn't born from your mom. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Let me ask you this one real quick, and you're gonna laugh at this. Would you ever date a white woman? Would you get you a white woman?
I've had my share. Boy, I've had everything out there, bro. Okay. And here's the thing. They just as wild as sisters, and Latinas are just as wild as the Asians, and the Asians are just as wild as the Persians, and on and on and on and on. You know,
what ethnic group treated you the best overall? Overall, we know a woman gonna be a woman. It supersedes ethnicity, nationality. But who gave you the best treatment overall consistently? We know because on average, what would you say?
Up until I would say the mid 90s, sisters, there were sisters out there that, raised the way we were raised, that really treated me right. And that was the best fit. But close second were the Latinas. Close second. And I think that the way that those communities were the morals were kind of the same back in the day. Now the Latinos are still doing that, whereas we've stopped. But I've been with white girls, been with Asian girls. I've been with crazy, you name it. I've been with. I remember once I had an encounter with a Jewish woman. She was from Europe. She was in America on like a special visa, whatever. Bumped into her at a comedy show. I wasn't even performing. I was just hanging out. Mm-hmm. And man, we went on to have the greatest 90-day, extended affair I've ever had. Mm-hmm. And with her, day one, she said we can never be together because of her religion. She's like, we can never be together. But boy, we was together. We was, oh my God, it was going down. And that was a good experience. But I would say sisters in my lifetime, the best experience I've ever had with women came from sisters, came from black women.
That's amazing. So overall, on average, they were the best.
On average, they were the best. Now times has changed. Like I want to be clear when I say this. Times have changed, but there are still a lot of really good women out there, sisters out there. You just got to find them. And it's a lot of work, and people don't want to do any work, man. But Latinas are cool. The white girls were good for networking purposes. Man, they welcomed me into so many situations where I could, make money and make connections. Yeah, it is what it is. But that's my man right there.
Well, I'll say this, because I'm glad you said that, because Latina women really are. Some of them are Afro-Latina too.
Yeah.
So they're Black Latina women. So they're raised different. But yeah, I totally agree with you, man. If I ever did it again, it definitely won't be American. It'll be foreign. I want to know what, but it won't be these American chicks. That's for sure. I mean, unless she's a diamond in the rough, and she got a good mental constitution. But a lot of them are so compromised with this liberal stuff, man. It's just too risky, man. And like you said, at your age now, you know what a great divorce is. You don't want to be dealing with no great divorce. Can you imagine all this wealth you accumulated, Brother DL, saying you get married at 55, and then at 60, she said, I don't love you no more, and I'm tired, and I'm not happy. And let's say, I'm just going to be hypothetical. Let's say you got $400,000 in the bank, and then you got to give her half of your money.
Yeah, 200 of it goes to her, and then you're gonna spend another 125,000 on legal fees and then lawyers.
Exactly.
So, and my thing is, I'm not necessarily worried about the money, but that's my daughter's future.
That's right.
That's my concern at this age. I do not want to squander my daughter's future because I wanted to be in love or whatever, man. And then I guess I'll leave you with this thought. I was lucky enough to have a little thing with a Norwegian woman. She was really good. Yeah, man. She was really cool. Like, I mean, yeah, it was, I don't know, because I was something different to her and she was something different to me, but we had a great time. You know, short-lived though. It ain't like it wasn't no real time, but she was in LA for 2 months, I think. So I was with her for about half that time.
Another match with DLC. Were you a comedian at some point?
Yeah, I'm a comedian now. So I'm an air traffic controller. I did that for well over 20 years.
Right.
While I was doing that, I got into stand-up comedy. So I would be controlling airplanes by day and going out doing stand-up by night. And the two worlds didn't know about each other. So it was great. You know, I love making people laugh. And yeah, like I said, I was out in them streets. So every group in the entertainment world has like their groupies, or, you know, this is part of the game. Like I tell dudes all the time, be good at something. Right. I'm a pretty decent comedian. You come off stage, man, it's always someone wants to talk to you. And it's always women standing there looking, waiting for you to come talk to them. And bro, you never know where it's going to lead.
You know what? The next show I want to do, I want to talk about the new trends in dating, what you're seeing. And because it sounds like it's a lot of women that are lonely and desperate. And I hear a lot of guys saying, man, a lot of these women going to venues now, man. Look, I was in Miami at the Conclave, man, the Manosphere Conclave. And a lot of guys, man, would look past women, and they were pretty women. They wouldn't even talk to them. They wouldn't even interact with them. They just ignored them. It was weird. It was weird, DLC. I'm talking about what most guys would say were attractive women. They wouldn't even pay them no attention. And you could feel the energy that they were trying to get the attention from the men. A lot of guys are waking up and they're just indifferent, man. Like these Gen Z or Gen Alpha Z, they don't communicate. They don't even care about women because they're so busy playing video games, man.
Right. And I tell these guys, I'm like, look, those guys you're talking about, they're ignoring beautiful women. Now, those dudes really want to holler at that girl. Whatever you were seeing, like, them dudes wanted to say something to her. But for fear of her rejecting them or whatever reason, they just didn't do it, right? I tell guys to have the conversation. You don't have to just, hey, how you doing? And have the conversation. And if she says something crazy or she does something you don't like, you can just walk away. Nice talking to you. Bye. Just have the conversation.
I think not only that, but I think also with the false Me Too allegations, and guys say, you know what, it ain't even worth the headache. But anyway,
yeah.
Powerful conversation. I'm about to see this Duke Michigan game, man.
I hope y'all pull it out.
Lock horns, man. All right, man. Take care of yourself, man. Powerful show, man. I'll see you again, man. Just tap in on the back end, brother, if you need me.
Yes, sir. You do the same.
All right, brother.
Peace.
DL Saint. Yes, sir. Be good. All right, guys. That was brother DL Saint. Go check out his YouTube channel, guys. We about to sign off. This has been another Keeping It Kosher classic. Another good show. Another good conversation with brother DL Saint. Guys, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you to those that donated. Shout out to the brothers that donated. So we're going to end it here, guys, and thank y'all for tuning in. And this has been another good one, man. And we will see you guys real soon. Stay away from the Angry Birds.
Nigga ass, loser ass nigga.
Your video with comments about a
He's a
certain
loser.
other female.
Just to let you niggas know, we don't need y'all. We want y'all, but we don't need you.
20 years later.
Our black men, we want all y'all back. Because we love you, we see you, kings, and most importantly, we need you. And most importantly, we need you.
And most importantly, we need you.
It's been an honor serving with you all. Autobots, roll out. We roll.
Nanobots, transform. Follow me, baby. The elders are old and out of touch. I have the power to help you become the better version of yourself. Listen to me. I know what's best for you. I am the Snake Whisperer.
And
said he unto me,
Then the Lord said unto me,
prophesy unto the wind,
Preach unto the wind,
prophesy, son of man,
preach, son of man,
and say to the wind,
and say to the wind,
thus saith the Lord God,
Thus saith the Lord God,
come from the four winds,
come from the north, south, east, and west,
O breath,
and
breathe upon these slain,
and breathe upon these dead bodies,
that they may live.
that they may live.
So I prophesied as he commanded me.
So I preached as the Lord commanded me.
And the breath came into them.
And breath came into them.
And they lived.
And they lived.
And stood up upon their feet.
And they stood upon their feet.
An exceeding great army.
An exceeding great army.
That wind, and preach to the east wind, and preach to the west wind, and tell the wind to blow on these bodies. And the preacher started preaching, said, all winds, all four winds, said, blow on these bodies, that they may live. And when the preacher started preaching, the wind started blowing, and all of those dead bodies, they came alive. The Bible said, and they stood up on their feet, an exceeding great army. But I heard the preacher said to them, you've been here long enough. You've been down in Babylon long enough. You've been dead and dry long enough. You've been separated long enough. Now let's come out of this valley. Let's go back to Zion. I heard him say, follow me. It's time now for a new beginning. Enough is enough. It's time for a new beginning. Come on and follow me. I heard them singing, and they started to Jerusalem. We are marching.
Before there was the manosphere, I was. Before there was the internet, I was. I was that signal male crying out in the wilderness for justice and equality for those that are downtrodden and broken, those that are voiceless. I was the kosher clinician. Before I was the kosher clinician on the internet. My plight and my war cry for justice and humanity is nothing fake. But I've always been kosher. Then sit back and get this kosher fun.
Hello everyone. Is there equality in America, fact or fantasy? First of all, I would like to salute all fellow human beings and most graciously those who are beacons of light for justice and righteousness. To vocally explain the tenets of equality, fact or fantasy, I must begin with the combination of two alphabets, I and F, which spells if. There's no respect of person, but gives protection to all them that fear him. So therefore I ask you this profound and non-scholastic question. If there was equality in America, will I be standing here today? You decide, fact or fantasy. All right.
This is Kosher Connection. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is Kosher